Guess it's 6:30. Yes, it is 6:30. Everybody, please rise. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Sounds good. We want to start off with correspondence?
You're from GZA?
Yes.
Why don't we take the first appointment right away?
Okay.
That way he doesn't have to sit here and listen to us
Oh,
go
okay.
through mail.
If you want to come up, sit down, and your name and...
Good evening. My name is Guy Dalton. I'm an associate principal and the office manager for GZA Geoenvironmental in Springfield. I'm here because we have a project that we'd like to propose to the town. We had one of our employees pass away unexpectedly in September, and there was a GoFundMe campaign in her honor that's raised about $25,000. She loved Dufresne Park. She brought her dog there religiously. As I understand it, she knows a lot of the people that go to the dog park. And what we'd like to do with this money is do some sort of improvement at the park, possibly in her name, in her honor. So we have some money. GZA is willing to donate our services pro bono. We have landscape architects and civil engineers and geotech engineers. We do a lot of parks work for the city of Springfield and for other municipalities. So this is the type of work that we do pretty regularly. I'm really just here to see if first it's a project that you think we could even do and how we might do it, and really just kind of to get the ball rolling. So I just want to propose that to you and see what the next step might be.
That's very generous, and thank you very much. Certainly, that's very admirable. I'm sure it can be arranged, and I'm sure we can make the arrangements to succeed.
Sorry, Steve.
I, for one, have never been to the park, but in talking with a friend of Casey's who has gone to the park, he said there was a few things that he could think of off the top of his head. One of them was the access road into the park. He said maybe needs some improvement. He also said some of the trails that go through the park go through some, swampy, muddy areas. Maybe there would need to either be drainage improvements or structures, little bridges built over that. And I think he also had mentioned the fact that the dog park itself is fenced in, and people have talked about maybe expanding the perimeter or the fencing of the dog park. So those were a few things that were kicked around, but really we don't know. I don't know what the needs of the park are. Maybe there's other things that could be done that you're aware of that are more immediate needs at the park. So we really just wanted to start a dialogue with you to see what would be the best use of the funds at the park. Casey's family is from the Albany area, and apparently someone in the family owns a lumber mill and is willing to donate, materials that could be used. So I think there's a lot of people that are willing to help and donate services, or at least if we could cover cost of materials. So it's a way to make the $25,000 go that much
Even further, yeah, stretch that.
Do you want to have him meet with the park committee?
Well, he could, but let's...
Yeah,
That's one way, but we should turn around and look at ourselves first and have them included.
Oh, I think we should have the park committee included, that's why I brought it up.
But I mean, I think we should ponder the circumstances. And of course, it's generous, and thank you very much, but I think that we need to, maybe we come up with the committee that will be able to, which Parks Committee, that could also recommend certain situations.
Sure.
That they're already aware of. There could be things that we don't know about. at this particular time.
Yeah, that's
That could be beneficial for Dufrane's.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
you do have representatives from the Parks Oversight Committee sitting in the audience. So I don't know if maybe they would have any comments.
Would you like to?
Well, there's
Go down, Kim.
a lot of things at the park that need to be improved for sure. And we're looking at that now. I know there was talk at one point of expanding the dog park to the area under the pine trees. Because right now it's all kind of open, there's no shade in that area. Certainly the access road is horrendous, so that's always been a concern every year. It's regrading and by spring it's washed out again, so that's something that certainly we looked at. But, you know, there's a lot of projects down there that need attention, so our problem has always been we have no funds except our operating capital, which is funded by the revolving fund, so this would be fantastic for the park to...
There would be.
Do you have a priority list from the committee, or is this?
I would want to speak for the committee, because I'm
Okay.
relatively new to it, and the other members have certainly been on longer and been more familiar with it than I am, but there are certainly things that need improvement down there. So.
Excellent.
But we'd be glad to, you know, to meet with whoever, discuss, you know, what the possibilities are, and, you know, take it from there.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, appreciate it. And I'm sure we're gonna be in contact with her. They're gonna be even probably following you out in the parking lot, I think.
Yeah, can I give you my card?
Sure, that'd be great. I was gonna say, can I get some contact info,
Sure.
and then, you're right in Springfield?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Charter Day Committee? Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, come on, go sit down.
Sure.
State your name and,
Crystal Dufresne, Chair of the Charter Day Committee.
oh, excellent.
Yeah. So we were here today to go over the Charter Day regulations. So they're not bylaws. I guess a couple years back they were listed as bylaws, but I don't think they can be called bylaws from what I was told. So we changed the name to Charter Day Regulations. So we were asked last year to every year update the regulations if there are any changes, and I guess it's been a while since it's been put forward as far as the Charter Day Committee goes. So we just wanted to update those first.
Do we have a copy of them here? Because when I read them, it said bylaws, still in them.
Yes, but we changed it.
Okay, I
Yeah.
haven't seen the new one. Because the ones that I originally read,
Yes, yep.
There's a copy for everybody, plus,
I don't know whether,
There's one dated October 2nd. Should be in there.
Prices.
but there was another question I had when I read the original, because I hadn't seen this
Yeah.
one, where it stated that you could vote to make changes without coming back to seeing the select board
I think that was on towards the end.
towards the end. Which I did read it.
Yeah.
Article 9.
Is that Article 9? Yeah. You're giving yourself the authority to make changes without coming back.
Okay, so as far as the regulations go, so that actually we do have to change because I do notice that it still
Says
says
bylaws
bylaws.
on it too.
So these regulations may be changed by a 2/3 vote of the committee. So I guess that was something that they had in the past on their, what
Okay.
they were calling their bylaws. So, as far as the decisions made about the regulations, you mean?
Yeah,
We
then
sh-
you should
We have to
just
come
come back
forward
here.
to you guys, okay,
Right, so that way we know what's going on.
okay,
So, and keep the funding going like that.
okay.
I think those are the only two comments that I had, because it said bylaws, and then they were giving themselves their own authority to make changes. That's all I remember.
So the original document said that every year we would, or every other year, we would do a parade. We had taken that out because the parade hasn't happened besides the 250th in a long time, so. And then we just changed the language as far as chairperson, whether it's a male or a female. But other than that, we tried to keep everything the same that they had before.
Yeah, there was one more item that I noticed here on the C on treasurers, is the treasurer shall present a written financial report of the current fiscal year to the chair no later than July 1.
July 1st, yeah, for the previous year.
Aren't you cutting it pretty quick, because that year just ended the day before?
So, I'm not sure what Mish usually did. I think she has until the end of the year, right, to do that, so it's not even July 1st that it is due. Because she
Oh,
hasn't written
okay.
it for last year, so we can change that date. So as long as she does it by January 1st, is it? Okay.
Okay.
So we can change that to January 1st
I was just
then.
worried, the fiscal year ending 30 June, and then
Yep.
you have to have your treasurer report in the next day.
Yeah,
I
and
didn't think
most
that
of the
made sense.
bills actually aren't even clear by July 1st from the
Right.
parade,
Right.
or from the, sorry, not the parade, from the annual town event.
Make it easy on you, I'll just do this.
So as far as the language for Article 9, do you want me to change,
Just go back to
just
Board of
get rid of
Selectmen.
it altogether, or
No.
just go back to the select board?
Just come back here so
Okay.
everybody knows.
So we would do a 2/3 vote, and then we would present it to you guys?
Right,
Okay.
you guys make your own decisions first, and then we'll
Okay.
come and we'll discuss it. Those are the only two items that I have a bad habit of reading it every week, so if it's in early, I read it a week ago.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Also, something to look at too is Part A, it talks about non-contract revenue raising boosts. So you're setting your own fees and percentages?
For the non-contract revenue, when we discussed this in the committee, I was told by Linda and Richie that that has to do with the nonprofit, right? So as far as the nonprofits go, like the Historical Society that comes, the Granby school class that is selling stuff there, that the non-contract, so I guess what we could put in there is the, I don't know, I'm blanking out right now.
That's all right.
But the nonprofits, we could put something like the nonprofit raising boost will be required to make a financial contribution to the committee by fee. Well, actually, no, because they don't make a contribution. So I think that's something that Richie and Linda said has always been there, because we don't make the nonprofits make a donation, but I think we left it there for the beer tent, right? As far as the Granby Legion goes, so they're gonna be making a donation on November 14th this year for the revenue that they made at Charter Day. But we didn't have a contract set up with them for a certain percentage of how much we're supposed to get for them, because this is the first year that we had it back. So we didn't know what to set as far as money or financial, like what we're supposed to get back from them. Because I guess a couple years back when Opa was there, they had lost money. So I think that's why Richie and Linda wanted to leave that wording there. I wish Richie was able to come, but he wasn't able to. Revenue raising.
But this is the regulations going forward as of October 2nd, 2018, so that
Yeah.
doesn't, that was previous.
Well, this is when we wrote it, so these regulations have to be okayed by you guys anyway, so we're here presenting it, and then we can make any changes as you see fit. We just wrote the date that we came together and made decisions on it amongst the committee.
Yeah, I don't see if A should actually even be there.
Crystal, one quick question.
Yes.
Parks Oversight for Dufresne Rentals. They have a fee schedule that they set up. Nonprofits, zero, or pay whatever it costs to open and close. They have, number of people, X number of dollars, so on and so forth for their rentals. Can your committee come up with that same type of a schedule to put in here to be able, so that the board could see what you're contemplating charging for various types of groups? Instead of just having a broad language,
Okay.
maybe have a schedule. And anytime the schedule would change, you just bring it forward to the board for their review.
Okay. So say the Historical Society is
You
going,
would say, like you said, nonprofits.
Okay.
zero. Or-
Okay.
Or 5% of their proceeds, or whatever, however you want to word it. And bring
Okay.
it back to the board so they have some sort of a concrete number that they can look at.
okay.
Would it be helpful to them if Kathy Leonard gave them a copy of what they currently charge for events now? To be
They can, but
simple.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying a fee
Yeah.
schedule. I don't know if the
Right.
board agrees with that type of a
Make it
thing.
easy on them. There's no sense the town charging one thing and this committee charging another for the same type of event. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
Our fees are based mostly on the pavilion and kitchen, not, I mean, they would have a whole different set of vendors
Okay.
and things that wouldn't really apply to us.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if you say like a 10 by 10 lot is
Yeah.
$25. 20 by 20 would be $50 or whatever, something of that nature.
just something that there's a set fee for each particular thing, because here it's just kind of, that's a broad range of whatever you want to charge.
So we do have the application that everyone has to fill out if they want to be part of Charter Day, and it is set by square footage. So I do have that with me in my binder that I can show you that we send out to the people who want to come to Charter Day. And they can get one lot or they can get a double lot, and they do pay more for the double lot and they do pay more for electricity. So something like that, but have it in the regulations. Okay, I can do that. Yep.
So the committee can have up to 18 members?
There's only, as far as they had from the language before, there was only 9 voting members allowed, though. So we can have up to 18, but 9 of them would be associate members where they're helping out either the weekend of, or they're coming to the meetings, but they can't come to all meetings and they don't want to vote. They just want to go and find out what's going on and help out in any way they can. So we were going to stick to the 9 voting members.
I'm fine with that.
So right now, we have 7, but we do have 2 more that wanted to join, so we wanted to wait before putting their names in. Yep.
Okay, anybody have any other questions?
No, those are the only ones I had.
Any questions?
And I hadn't seen these. I saw the ones previous to these. when I-
Yeah, no, I did too.
Okay.
Oh, well, what we'll do is wait for your changes and
Okay,
and then take
You
it
can
under
have that if you
advisement.
want.
thank you.
Yep,
Thank you.
Can I ask a question first?
sure.
On Article 5, C, isn't that kind of the same thing as what you guys were talking about?
Any
trailer,
change?
Where they can just change?
Any changes in the above policy to be made during the Charter Day event will be voted on and passed by a simple majority of the committee. That would,
I think that's, if I'm wrong, I think that's applying to Articles 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
So they can change the prices if...
during the event.
Yeah.
Why would you want to change the prices during the event?
So what we saw that as is changing, so participation, so if we look at the beginning of Article 5, participation in Granby Charter Days activities and or booths will be by invitation of Charter Days Committee. So what we saw that as is any changes to the above policy, I guess, is what they had originally thought, was whether or not they participate in the event. So if, for example, a vendor came and he caused a lot of problems, or she caused a lot of problems, then we wouldn't ask them back to Charter Day. So that's what we see as being. Not so much. So do you want us to come to you guys and say, okay, we had a problem with this vendor, we don't want them back, and ask you permission not to have them back? That's kind of the way we saw C.S., because we did have one guy that was very loud and boisterous this year that went around to different vendors and got them all upset, and they did come and complain to us. So we are not going to have that gentleman come back this year.
Well, you just want to approve their application, correct?
Precisely.
Okay.
That'd be,
The easiest way.
From the sounds that they have
Yeah.
to fill out an application, and either you approve or disapprove, correct?
I don't think Mish has ever turned anyone away.
Well,
So,
what I'm just saying
Yeah,
is,
it would be up to us if they come. Yeah.
yes, and that would be just a disapproval of
Okay.
a application. I don't think the board would want to infringe upon that type of
Not
a,
micromanagement.
yeah.
But I would have that state somewhere in your regulations that you have the ability to approve or deny applications.
Okay.
Well, I think that's how she's trying to say by invite only.
Yeah.
Invitation only.
But
Well-
you may say by application to the committee.
Invitation only
Okay.
means I invite you to come here. If I fill an application, I'm asking to come there.
Yeah,
So
so,
that's why,
Okay.
that's why I am. And it gives you the ability to deny it if you wish to deny it.
Okay.
that's it?
Yeah.
So the only thing else I'd look at too is that, where you have in Article 5, letter C, I think that should be above letter A,
Okay.
because if not, that implies that you can change your, if you want, whatever you charge for a booth, you can change it anytime you want.
Okay.
I
That
think
kind
that's
of goes
what
back to
Kathy
what it
was
says
getting at.
right in the back, so I think if you just kind of maybe switch those around, you
Okay.
should be fine.
As far as, I just had questions. This is my first year being the chair, and I tried to learn as much as I could from Mish last year. But if we are putting out a bid for proposal for something, whether it be fireworks or anything else, do we have to take the person who costs the least as far as for their services? So say someone's going to charge $100 less than some other company, but the product that you're getting is better. Do I have to take the person who is charging the committee less or the town less because, it's the Charter Day Committee funds? Or can I take the one who's going to give us better product for $100 more, say, just as a scenario? So I'm just trying to figure out what the rules are, because that is what she said the general rule is. But for example, we have a food vendor that they've had a contract with for the last 3 years, and he's not exactly the best person to have as, the person in charge of it, but we're stuck with him for this year. So he came in as the top bidder, so we don't pay him, he gives us money for the food. So she said we have to take the one that is going to give us the most money. So again, going back to quality of service, the food was lousy last year. A lot of people complain about it. He did better this year. So we're going to put it out to bid next year because we're going for a new 3-year contract. When we put it out to bid, can we go with the person, they might come in $100 less than the other person, but they have better food options or better things. So I'm just trying to figure out what the rule is.
If you do a strict invitation for bid, yes, you have to take the lowest bidder, no matter
Okay.
what. If you issue a request for proposals, you can do that, but you also, as part of the proposal, have to have a set of criteria on how you will be judging the bids or proposals that are coming in to you. Okay? As for the menu, it could be menu options, variety of menu, quality of food. You're going to do reference checks on other people that they do this for, things of that nature, how much they're going to give you as a percentage sales, what are they giving back. You have to have a set that the people know they're going to be judged by. So the people who are in there just to lowball everybody else aren't going to automatically get it. Okay? Am I explaining it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, but that's basically the difference. If you're just doing an invitation for bid, you have to take the lowest.
Okay.
If it's a request for proposals, there's a set of criteria that you can use to rank them.
Okay.
And that's how you can get someone who would be low, second or third on a list, could possibly end up being first based upon your set of criteria.
Because it gives you more to evaluate.
Okay. And then you're clear on your expectations.
You're giving them a set of requirements up front, and then they're going to propose to you how they're going to meet those requirements, and then you make a decision based upon
what they give you.
Okay.
Just as long as you're not arbitrary and capricious in how you
He
judge
loves
them.
those words.
And I did have one last question, if you don't mind, as well. As far as the parking goes, we had talked about that last year, and we didn't want to increase it because of the 250th anniversary. So this year, if we look at the Charter Day Committee, we were $2,000 in debt after we had the fair this year. And we were very successful on Friday, and we were very successful on Saturday as far as parking goes. We almost made $10,000 on Saturday for parking. We had to turn cars away because we had nowhere to put them. So even with all that, we were still $2,000 in the negative. So we're trying to figure out how we can still bring these events, and we can still bring, whether it be bands, and we're trying to save money on bands again this year and cut that cost. But the only way we can think of doing that is by increasing parking, because that's the only thing we get. So we did look at other town, well, the only other town fair was Belchertown that we looked at, because Cummington Fair is funded by the state, so they charge for parking, they charge for an entrance fee. So we couldn't really compare to that because we're not funded by the state. So the only other town that we had that was comparable was Belchertown. They don't charge for entrance and they don't charge for parking, but they get $30,000 for their rides. We get 17, 18, or 19. So again, we're on our last year of our contract with Rockwell. So we are going to put out a proposal to Finelli, who is doing Belchertown, and there's 2 other companies as well. But until then, we're always going to be in the negative if we can't make that up. So again, the only thing we can think of doing as a committee is to increase the parking, because it's going to be too hard to regulate per person. Plus, we'll turn more people away. At least if a car full, they pay $10, it's a car full. But if you're charging per person, now that's $5 per person, and now there's 5 people in the car. That's a little too expensive. So we, as a committee, are asking if, one, what do you guys think, in order to not be in the negative every year? Because if we keep going in the negative every year, it's just going to keep going deeper and deeper, and we're not going to be able to have the town fair or have it at the quality that people are asking us for.
Can I make 2 suggestions to
Yes.
look at? Number 1, go on the Mass Cultural Council website. Look under the Art Fellowship portion of that. Because a lot of times they'll do for artists and things like that, they'll fund certain things. So if you have anything that is culturally related, you may be able to get a grant from
Okay.
them. And the other would be to potentially look at, do you want to continue it to be a 3-day event and maybe bring it down to a 2-day event?
Okay.
If one of your days is constantly a loser, do you want to still be open for that day? Or do you want to convert it to a 2-day event? Those are just suggestions.
Yeah, and this year was a little hard to tell because Sunday we didn't charge for parking because it was a 250th parade. So it looks like on the books that Sunday was a loser day, but it wasn't. We just didn't charge. So,
But that's all my
yeah.
suggestion is, if you find, go back in history, go like 2 or 3 years back and see, is there a day that's a loser? And if it is, maybe you want to eliminate that day and go to a 2-day event where you're dealing with the bigger crowds.
I think it's hard to look at that, because then you gotta look at the weather.
Yeah.
Particular year, and, you know.
But I'm just saying, but it's something to look at.
So this year, you're $2,000.
In the negative
In the negative.
compared to what we brought in and what we spent. So again, on November 4th, of a donation that they are going to give us. When I had a meeting with him and Chief Woodshart 3 weeks ago now, they said they cleared over 5,000. So that was after paying everything for just Friday and Saturday. So I don't know what they're going to present us with. I hope that it's going to be something substantial, but now this year we know that it was successful, so now we can say, okay, we want X amount of the profits. We just didn't know how successful it was going to be. So we didn't ask for a set amount of money because we didn't want him to also be in the hole as well. So after paying the police detail and after paying for the beer and after paying everyone that worked, they cleared $5,000. So, which was really good.
They didn't
Yeah.
pay for this detail.
Yes, no, they gave us a check that Linda then submitted. Yep, so it was 1,400 and something. I had to go and pick it up, and then I gave it to Linda, and then Linda was supposed to submit it.
Because it was $10.
The amount doesn't ring a bell, but certainly we had, I think, 5 turnovers from Charter Day.
Interesting. Because how would they know what the police detail was if the
We,
bills don't go out till after the event is over? That's
They-
what I'm saying. No, I'm just saying, I don't know if the
Right.
check has been turned in or not. That's,
they just paid it in September is when I picked it up, so we had to wait for the police details. So we got the sheets with the police officers who were at the beer tent, and we got their hourly rate, and we got what they charged. So we just tallied up all the people that were at the beer tent, and then we gave them the final cost from there.
okay, but I don't remember that check coming in at this point in time. So that's all, just not saying anything, I'm just, doesn't ring a bell with me, so.
Fish calling.
Okay.
Well, I guess in reality, though, just regards to the parking fee, if you took into what might have came in on Sunday for parking, plus whatever you may have charged, or may be the donation this year from the beer tent, I mean, sounds like it would probably really offset that for future.
We might be close. And this year, we're going to have the tractor pulls back, which will bring more people in as well. We just couldn't do it with the parade as well.
Was there anything that occurred last year that was a increase versus previous years?
Yes, trailer
So that's
trash,
why which would've,
yeah.
added to the cost this year versus the revenue coming in to offset the 2,000.
Well, the Friday night was successful because we had the truck pulls, we had trailer trash, and we had the beer tent. So that was a very successful night, and it was beautiful weather. Like you said, rain does change things. And then on Saturday, it was very successful because of the fireworks. We are going to spend less on the Saturday night band because people are going to come for the fireworks, so we don't have to pay for a band to come in or a huge band to bring in the crowd when the crowd's already there. So we're going to save money there this year. So last year we had Lindsay LaBelle and her parents Out of the Blue. Out of the Blue was good, but Lindsay LaBelle was not that good at all. So we're going to save money on that because I think that was $1,200 just for her and her parents. And then Sunday, we just didn't have the parking revenue. We didn't do bands, so we did save on bands because we did open mic. So we let people, whoever wanted to sign up, come and sing. We plan on doing it the same way, just organized better because we didn't have an MC there. He was running around all over the park. Really, it comes down to we need more volunteers. So we're trying to reach out to the community and get more people helping out because last year it was 6 of us and we were running around like crazy. Like, I maybe saw my kids for 2 hours those 3 days. It was crazy. So just to have more people help out is what we're going to try and do. So we're pooling our family and our friends and seeing who can help out more. But it ended up being really successful, just tiring. I was ready to crash on Monday, that's for sure.
Now, you charge $10 for parking,
It's $5 for parking.
$5 for parking.
Yeah.
Because Michelin came to me last year when talking about the fireworks money, and they were a little short. And we were throwing around ideas. We talked about VIP parking for the weekend. Like 2.5 times the pay. So in other words, instead of paying $5 and $5 for Waste Day, charge them $20, but give them a VIP pass and let them park a little closer to the entrance, so you get twice as much money.
Okay,
We just threw it around
Yeah.
talking ideas,
right.
and I don't know if she shared it with you or not.
See, we were thinking if we did go up on parking, that we would have to offer a weekend pass for the people that come 3 days in a row, because they're not going to want to pay $5, $5, $5.
Exactly.
So we were going to try and be like, okay, we'll cut you a deal, and it's $10 for the, or 50, it was $10 for the weekend we were throwing around, right?
If we were upping the price, we were gonna up the price and then give them a discount and like a free day or something.
Yeah,
So instead of paying 30 for the weekend, they'd pay 20.
yeah.
And we were talking about
Upping it
price,
for the VIP.
plus giving them a little closer parking spot, so they don't have to
Right.
walk as so far as their incentive to get more money out of it.
That just means that we would have to have both parking lots open at all times. So
Yeah.
again, we would have to have the
More staff,
volunteers.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
which is a great idea if we can have the people helping us park. But that is one thing that we do have to work on, because Chief Woodchart does not want 202 backed up like it was on Friday night, with people trying to get in for the bands and for the truck pulls. Both sides of 202 were backed up. So we had to run and open up the 202 entrance, just to keep the cars moving,
Okay.
because it got busy real fast, around 5 o'clock.
It's understandable, those things are gonna happen. I mean,
Yeah.
that's, you know, when you're bringing a good amount of people, a crowd into one particular area, that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
You know, I can see, you know, it's not lasting hours, it's probably like a 25, 40-minute, wasn't that bad of a backup, because I remember being in it, so.
yeah,
But, you know, sometimes those are things we gotta expect.
right.
And I guess I just look at the kind of the revenue that you talk about, and it sounds like if you had, like I said before, if you had the parking fee for Sunday, and some of the bands that may not be there, or save money there, and also the revenue from the beer tent, I think you're, you know, okay. I mean, it sounds like you'd probably be over, you'd be in the black versus in the red as far as $2,000.
Yeah,
I just see,
We're hoping.
I just see it's always as a community event, and to keep the costs reasonable for people to go, I think is always beneficial. You know, I'm not against raising the price, but, you know, if you raise it, then, you know, what are you gonna raise it to, $7? And it comes to be, with your volunteers out there making change and stuff like that, becomes
Right.
more time consuming when you have a $5. It's, you know, you're not even moving the cars a little quicker through. If it's, people don't have the exact change, you're trying to make change, and you better hope you have a lot of ones to make that,
Yeah.
Right.
that increases the time of people getting in.
and that's one of the things we discussed. We're like, well, we don't want to deal with ones, it's too much of a headache, so it's either 5 or 10, you can't really do in between,
Agreed.
so,
Yeah, I think, you know, like, kind of what Jay was talking about too, even if you don't make it a VIP, but you sell parking passes up front. You know, and then people have those passes, you
And they
wave
go
them through,
straight
you get,
through.
you
Right.
know.
A 2-day pass
yeah,
for
You know.
for $20 or something like that, whatever
Right.
you guys decide.
Or if you do a 3-day pass for $10, I mean, reality is a lot of people aren't showing up for 3 days in a row, but some people may not show up for 2 days, but they have the pass just in case they want to use it.
right,
Because like you said,
Thing to
it's gonna-
think about.
the weather's gonna dictate it.
Yeah.
If it's a good day, they're gonna come out. If it's a bad day, they're not. But if you already locked them into a pass for the entire weekend, you already have the
The money.
monetary funds.
Yeah.
Whether they show up or not is up to them.
right,
Just something for you to consider.
yeah,
Or you raise the amount, and you make the, buying the pre-sale pass or something like that really worth it, then people may just buy that up front, so they have it, so now you're getting revenue up front, plus when people come in,
Yep.
it's how much? Well, you have the opportunity to buy the pass up front too,
so logistically, like, how would I get that out to the townspeople if we were to do like a parking, early parking pass?
It seems to be on the website when you
Okay.
advertise for charter days
And
too.
you use GCAM.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
okay,
There's variety of ways of doing it, and so look at it, but I'd be interested to see the amount that is donated from the beer tent, because I think it's gonna be something to look at for the future too, if that continues.
Because if
Yeah.
you're using $5 for parking and you need $2,000, that's what, 400 cars? Is that a lot of cars or not much compared to this volume you had?
I don't actually know how many,
I don't think we had a physical count.
Okay.
yeah, well, if we take
Would
the
you be
closer,
opposed if we came back next year, if we ran it differently and addressed the parking fee, that if we ran it a little differently, put money in different places, and we were still short, could we address it again next year?
You can address it again every year that requires changes.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
we're saying, come back to us. Like you're gonna make some changes here and come back to us. You can think about what you want to do, get back to Michelin, however you guys want to do it. Because we're not here to micromanage it, we're just trying to hear, to see what's going on and help you where possible.
Plus, they'll get the complaints when people are mad.
We're gonna get complaints no matter what, so I mean, it's beside the point.
Yeah.
But just some ideas for you to think over.
yeah.
But again, you know, if you look up, whether it's a ski area or what, if you buy your pass early, you get it cheaper. But if the weather's bad, it's not open, hey, you don't get your money back. I think them shaking their heads, I think they like that idea.
Well, that's, I mean,
Yeah.
that's one way of doing it, like you said, and you have
Yep.
you have the cutoff date 2 weeks prior to,
Exactly.
actual charter day, so, you know, some, like I said, some people will buy it, just think it's worth it, they get to use it 2 days, great, if they don't, no big deal. No harm, no foul, they're not gonna be disappointed,
Then you don't have to worry about weather at all, because you got cash in hand.
you know.
And then, sorry, just one last thing. As far as the website for Charter Day and the email, I have no access to either. I've been in contact with Micheline and with Marie McCourt for a month now, trying to get access to that, so I can't answer any emails. I can't update the website at all that we have. So I'm going to try and reach out to them again, but I really don't know what to do if I don't get a response, because this has been the website and the email for 15-plus years. So it's what people look to, it's got all the contact information, so I guess I'll address that if I don't hear back in the next couple weeks, because we're trying to update already and we have no access to it, and I can't answer any emails for any company or anybody reaching out to us. So I know Kathy had to take a message from Massachusetts militia, right, the militia, because I can't answer anything. So I don't even know who's trying to contact or anything. And when you go on and you try and use the login and the password that was given to me, it doesn't work, and Mish can't get on there either. So she's trying to get Marie to help out, or because I guess she has access to it, or she pays for it.
Well, the secret that is, who is the administrator of that website?
It's Marie McCourt.
Okay, then that's your answer. Because then she can go in and give the user IDs, change the passwords and do that.
Yeah,
You have to go to the administrator of the website.
which, yeah, I've reached out 4 times, so I'll try again. But I don't know what else to do.
License has expired on that website.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yep,
So if you don't pay for it, you can't get in? Okay.
That may be.
That could
That may
be-
be the whole issue, is that the
Okay.
license expired, so you don't have access to that site anymore.
Okay.
What's his name, the login, can't even try, right?
No.
No, I thought you said you tried.
I have for the email. I have for the email, not for the website.
Oh,
I'll make a call to her and ask her
Okay.
to contact you.
All right. Thank you.
okay.
If she's gonna try, if she can't get in, she can't get in, then we'll know, we'll ask her to go.
Like I said, the administrator's gonna control the site. And like Chris says, if it's not paid up, then the service hosting it is not gonna allow you in.
Right, but she doesn't even know that.
Right,
So
that's
at
what she
least-
needs to find out.
Right, at least let's
Who
find
is
out.
the host and who is the administrator? Those are the 2 key things.
Well, she believes Marie McCord is, so.
You can give it a try, nothing to lose.
four,
Discuss transfer request?
yes,
Sure.
that would be, well,
Cast the chair, I mean.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
do we want to move item number 4 under new business to the top of the agenda?
Discuss transfer request?
Yes.
Yes.
Go for it.
Let's call someone up. Who's
Lou.
Lou.
Lou,
Lou's in conference right now.
we want to discuss your transfer request so you can get to go home and watch the football game.
Doesn't matter to me. As you noticed, it has to do with the electricity down there. So brought to the attention of the committee that there's some very high voltage overhead power lines that run across the field and over the playground area, which should not be there. I mean, it's just unheard of that they be in a park, let alone, a use like this. So
And they were supposed to have been taken down, I guess, back in 1960 when it was donated to the town, but of course, we don't rush into anything around here, so but now it's come to our attention, and the electricity was in the process of being upgraded, as you know, and so we talked to the electrician again, and he gave us an updated quote, which I think you have, off the top of my head, it's like 19,000 something. We do not have the funds there. The only funds we have are the revolving account that we get, that money comes in, money goes out, and that's about 10,000, so we just don't have the assets to complete that entire project. We have some funds, I don't have it in front of me, but I don't remember what I put for, what were we looking
Total
for?
amount to complete that.
I don't have the figures in front of me, it wasn't, total amount was 19,500. We were gonna put, what, 7 in, Chris, or something? Do you remember, we were asking for 13?
You're asking for 13.
13, yeah. We were gonna put 65 or something. And that pretty much wipes us out as far as having any capital, other than the donation we just got tonight, but our fear is if we don't get going on this, that it might not be ready for Charter Day next year, which would be a problem, obviously, for the Charter Day Committee. And our concern is if those lines aren't taken down, that we should seriously consider limiting use of the park until they are down, because there's a huge liability issue there.
So you're talking about putting those lines on the ground, right?
No, those lines are coming down and not being put up again, right. Permanently taken down, right. They run over to the horse rink, I guess, but I don't believe they're used at all, are they, Chris? On that side?
Is there a box over there maybe, somewhere? Like a junction box down lower that they can plug in to get power over there for some
I
things?
know they use power over there during Charter Day and everything, but,
So I'm wondering if it just goes to a substation, like a box,
it could be, I'm not,
circuit, breaker box.
I'm not that up on the configuration. I know that the power lines are there, that's all. Where they go, I don't know. But our intention is not to have power on that side of the field, with the exception perhaps of some solar-operated lights for security lighting. At this point, just the cost of running lines in from Taylor Street would be, yeah, and we can't really go across the dam, at least until something's done with that, because it's just gonna be turned up again, so. But running them in from Taylor Street isn't real practical.
Looks like it was to service the horse ring.
If you look at his,
Yes,
diagram.
extremely high power, they said.
Which has been cut off
The
What?
power is turned off.
to the,
On those lines?
on the horse.
At the horse rink, but the lines are live.
Using, they had to bring in their own generator.
But the lines are live, yeah.
So the lines are alive and not being used.
They're not being used, right?
And it looks like it feeds a shallow well over there that they use.
It does power the well, right? So the well would not be usable anymore.
Actually, I think when we discussed it, they were going to put in, they left an electrical box near that side, so they could be connected there instead. Am I right? Yes, you're correct.
Is that, I thought they had an issue with getting the power over the spillway.
I believe that whole box area there was the only thing that we left. Everything else.
But how's it gonna be powered?
That was something.
Yeah.
With those lines down, short of running a line across the spillway, I don't know how you get the power into it.
They need that water line for Charter Day. That's the only time that one is used.
Well, they go to places that don't have power or water, the Carnival does, so I don't know why they would need
I
it here.
believe one year when they couldn't use the well because it was, had a contamination, they just brought in a tanker truck of water.
I'm sure there must be an alternative, yeah.
So it wasn't
I mean,
that.
if we could keep power to the well, that would be fine, but I just don't know how feasibly how we do that. That's, I guess, something for the electrician, but.
Why could the well, if we only use it once a year, why couldn't the well be powered off a generator? For that
Exactly.
weekend?
Generator and a pump for the weekend, yeah.
Yeah, it's only using it with that one weekend,
Yeah, it's the only time it's tested for that.
you know?
Well, the issue is taking all those lines.
Right.
And finishing the work on the other side, those lines, they have those are the ones that are gonna go underground on the pavilion side. And he's partially through the work, but that figure completes the work on that side. And then we'll take the lines down on the other side and then be done with it, no power down there.
I think it's prudent, I think it needs to be done.
Oh, I definitely need the line, but if they're alive and not being used, they definitely are.
Yeah, they need to come down.
Chris, this requires to go out to bid? No.
Well, you would,
So we're 10,000.
you could just do a telephone quote. You know, it's not high enough that you requires an RFP or anything of that nature. But, you know, you can put a telephone call out to 3 electricians or whatever, and go from there. As long as you have a set item of what they'll be doing for work, so.
He's already started this project. This was something that has been in the works, and it got stalled somehow. Kathy, you might know more about the history, or Megan?
Yeah, we had an electrician, he started on it, and then he kind of disappeared on us for a little while, so we're just looking to get it back and get everything finished up.
Right.
So the same guy, so you.
It's the same guy, right?
So is that part of the 19,500? Is that part of work that's already been completed, or?
No, none of, this is the updated quote on what
Okay.
needs to be done over and above what he's already done. Yeah.
So this isn't part of the other work he's done, then? This is totally separate?
It's a continuation of what he's done.
Has he been reimbursed for?
Yeah, he's been paid for the other
Okay,
stuff, I believe, right? Yeah.
okay. And this is a new quote?
This is due with updated prices, materials have got up, I guess.
No, every year they go up.
Yeah, so
They're complete.
2/3 of the cost of that is materials, according to what he told me.
I would imagine so, if there's several years of fire costs or whatever you're doing, is, just taking down things and stuff like that.
So this amount of money will complete the job finally, once and for all.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, they need to be taken down.
Right.
Yeah, the liability is a big thing
Right.
at this point. It's,
Right, and if that never happened,
Yeah.
I think,
Is there a proposed completion date?
hopefully we're gonna get it wrapped up before Charter Day, but obviously it's getting later and later in the year, so that the sooner we get a decision, the sooner he can schedule the work and at least get going on what he needs to be done.
but I'd like a completion date set as part of a contract, just because we know it's completed in a certain amount of time, not it's not an ongoing, job that's being, Charter Days comes and it's not completed yet. We should have a date that it should be completed by.
Okay. He did do a few things, like blowing out the lines that had to be done before winter time, and, but he's just waiting for the go-ahead to schedule it.
I mean, if we're saying, we want it done before Charter Day, I think
Should we get it,
you
yeah,
get several months, half a year to make it happen, so
right.
I think that's reasonable and feasible.
And Chris, the funds are available for this?
No, they're looking for reserve
For
fund transfer.
Right. Where would it be coming from?
Reserve fund transfer through the finance committee.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
where it was coming from.
Every year, we appropriate a reserve fund for unforeseen or extraordinary expenditures.
Okay.
We had the opportunity to discuss it with them? Well,
No, I sent it in to Chris last week.
Because they won't address it unless an official reserve fund transfer request has been signed and submitted to them, along with supporting documentation.
Well, I'll make a motion to, since we all agree that, from our discussions, that it has to be addressed. The line is alive and not being used, and it is a detriment. I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer of the 13,000 to give Lou and his committee to get the work done.
Yeah, I just want to see an updated contract. I'm okay with transferring the money, but I don't want anything paid out until we see an updated contract that states certain things, or whether, there should be certain times, certain things are done. Just like any contract, and any, company that's proposing something, it's, you know, a certain time frame and certain things are gonna be done by a certain, you know,
Yeah, but we can transfer the fund but not obligate them,
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm okay with transfer the fund at this point, but I don't
as long
want
as we
to.
don't obligate until we see a
Right.
contract.
Right.
So,
This is, I mean, I read this, I like the way it reads, just want something that states, you know, timeframes.
So if the money's transferred, Chris, you want me to have them contact you to work out the contract details?
yeah, yeah. Well, I just want to correct Jay, that line is currently being used for power at the park, the overhead lines. They are currently supplying power to certain things, aren't they?
No. According to Kathy, it goes to the horse rink and that's
No,
powered
I
by,
think it stops at a certain point, so it doesn't go to the horse rink.
Okay.
I think it goes where the playground is, then
Yeah.
back. It doesn't cross the line.
But it's still being used at this point in time. It's still supplying power to something out there.
I believe so.
what,
What?
The lights by the,
playground?
There's one overhead light that shines on the playground, and it's a security light. That's the
Okay.
only thing it's supplying right now.
And that, so that's what we'd be looking to put in
Doesn't
there,
go across the road to the,
all the way over to the horse rink. Okay.
correct, they have,
Well-
when they rent it, they get a generator.
Can we just double check with the electrician to make sure that what is being powered out there? So we,
He said it's not doing, anything except, he had talked about a third phase of running in new power, and we decided that was too costly. That's where we went on to the solar lighting. So I think the only thing it is, I'll double check with him, the only thing it's lighting is the playground, so.
It is that far, only because you're also running the pump
For
for
the,
charter days.
yeah, but the well is right by the spillway, not too far from the spillway.
It's all
On the same side, right. Right, so it powers the well and it powers the security lighting at the playground,
and it doesn't cross the road.
the dirt road from Taylor Street, right.
we can already talk about the well, and that can be powered by a generator for that particular weekend if need be. And you kind of said there's the solar for the security light for the playground. I would just want something that's comparable to what's there now.
Yeah, I've contacted the Energy Committee about maybe getting some solar security lighting, and recommendation was maybe on motion detectors for that side of the park for the,
Yeah. I would like to have something in place before we
as far as
move forward.
a quote goes.
Of course, I'd like to be, if that power's gonna be taken down, taken away, I'd like to have something in place before that's done for security lighting for the playground.
Well, ideally, the light would go on the same pole that the light's on now, so I don't know if you could,
Well,
You can do
then, within a period of time.
right.
Understandable, we made, we gotta take other fixtures down to put that one up, but maybe that's part of what, electrician may be able to do too, though.
Is that one of the lights that has a surveillance camera for the police department?
No, I don't think there's a surveillance out there. I think that's over by the
Just the pavilion?
pavilion area.
Okay.
However, that would be one that's eligible for your replacement program?
No, we cannot replace, we can replace incandescent with LED, but we cannot replace with solar.
But I'd also look to, the gentleman that was here before, was talking about the donation, he was talking how.
For the parks.
As far as improvements for the park.
Right.
That might maybe be,
Yeah, and the solar lighting, I don't think is a major expense as
No.
opposed to the rest of this work here.
but it
so that-
sounds like, listen to him briefly talk, it sounds like he has a lot of connections and stuff like that, so that might even be something that's
He
feasible.
might have
where
some
They might
leads
have,
for
yeah.
it.
They may have someone that's willing to donate the product or something like that, or donate their time to put it up or something.
Something like that.
Because the solar motion lights that run on solar that I sent you were as low as $20 a piece.
Right, they're relatively
They were
inexpensive.
very inexpensive
Yeah.
for solar.
Buy the same type of light that's there now?
Yeah, for the lumens, yeah.
They're $20 a piece?
Yeah. I'm not gonna say, they only have a 90-day warranty, and I have no experience, so I don't know how long they're gonna last, to be perfectly honest with you.
Well, those are things that I'm concerned with.
Well, the thing it is,
Right.
it's like any warranty you get, that's all you're gonna get.
Does this board wish me to proceed with putting in
A reserve fund transfer request to the Finance Committee for $13,000 to fund this project pending additional information to
You
be
made the
supplied.
motion.
Yes, I'll second
Yes, I
Jay's motion that he made.
That's 13.5.
I don't remember.
Well, it's whatever, 13, 13.5, whatever is in the,
Well, I gotta need a second.
I second it.
Oh, you did, I didn't hear it, I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
okay.
Any opposed?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Is that what the departmental reports?
The department reports, I had one thing on it. And it was in regard to the police department report. I noticed that I read that report that the Bowen Gun Club was firing after the authorized hours. I would recommend that they, what I call it, a warning notice, which would be their second warning that they violated it, be sent from the town attorney to their attorney. And then if we're going to do that in writing, I would also put a note on that on 30 September, I believe the date was, when we sent our zoning enforcement officer there, they were firing off hours as well, and he gave them a verbal warning to document what's going on out there. If they're violating, then we need to capture it with the attorney. And it's in the police department report. I believe it was dated 29 October.
I don't see an issue with that. I mean,
I believe it should come from the zoning enforcement officer.
Right.
CC to the attorneys.
Okay.
Because if you're going to start having the attorney sending out enforcement letters,
Okay.
I think you may run into some issues.
Okay.
Because we have a zoning enforcement officer who is to be enforcing that special permit. And he should be the one issuing the letter with CCs going to lawyer firms.
I don't have a problem with that. My main thing was getting it documented.
all right. So why don't we make sure our zoning enforcement officer sends out those warnings?
I have been telling him to send warnings out and include at least our attorney, but I'll have to make sure he includes their attorney too.
But have these two have been sent out, or have they?
Don't know, I'd have to talk to him, because we did have some residents come in and complain, write out formal complaints. And I told him he really has to send a letter to the Bowen Gun Club, citing that special permit and the clause and the language and all the other stuff that goes along with it.
Right, so let's make sure it's done, that they are being warned in regards to it, and further action can and will be taken if they don't follow the order.
Special permit, yeah, the order.
The order.
Right. I mean, I think we should cite the police department report. And then we can add, I believe it was 30 September, but I'd have to check that Mr. Briggs went out there and gave him a verbal warning because they were firing too early.
So Chris, you'll follow up on those two things? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna make a motion that we accept the departmental reports.
I will accept, second Glenn's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm also going to make a motion at this time that we approve and sign maintenance warrants fiscal year 19 for numbers 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29.
You made the motion, Glenn?
Yes.
Okay, I will second Glenn's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Guess not.
We just need to go through and sign them.
All right. Do you have any appointments, Chris? No appointments.
No appointments, okay.
Those are done. We have common vic licenses.
Can I interject one other thing here? On our thing, under correspondence, and we don't have it on the agenda here, I noticed that there was some out-of-state travel, not in accordance with our bylaws. And I believe that something should be written to the school to tell them they're a department of Granby, and they should obey all the bylaws, same as all the other departments.
Are you making a motion, or? There was something in here that said,
Right.
was a trip to, I think,
Orlando,
Florida.
Yeah, for,
That was in his contract.
right.
Well, the travel was in his contract, but our bylaws require you have to, for notification of out-of-state travel. And there's no notification.
Reimbursement.
Don't want to play any favoritism. Everybody's, all the departments are treated equal. I'll make a motion that a letter be drafted and sent to the school referencing the out-of-state travel bylaw, and please use it in,
Oh, it might be down there.
Is it down there?
I don't have the correspondence folder.
Is it under me? Oh, yeah, right here. There.
It probably should be sent to the school committee.
Thank you. I already saw this.
Well, I wouldn't be opposed to sending them the reference to the bylaw too, that,
No, I believe that the
Yeah.
reference to the
Should be right
bylaw or a
there.
copy of the bylaw should be
Yep.
included. I'm not sending it for out anything except basically for information. And so they can't say they don't know about it, so if it happens again, they will comply, that's all. You can call it a friendly warning if you want. But I believe all departments should be treated equal. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
well, my more concern is why did it happen?
Oh, I agree with you, but they may not know about it, but now if we send them this letter with a copy of the bylaw, they can't say they don't know about it.
Okay.
They tend to agree.
That's all I'm saying.
Do you want to make a motion that we send the letter, Jay?
Yes, I thought I just did.
Did you?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, I'll second your motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Can I just make a comment regarding the incident?
Sure.
I can see how it could occur, okay? The gentleman in question probably had to register for that conference before the end of the last fiscal year.
Okay.
He joined us this fiscal year, the very beginning of this fiscal year. It may have been too late for him to cancel his reservations and get money back. So it was probably agreed upon to allow him to attend so that no money would be lost regarding that reservation that was probably made, probably in May or early June.
I have no knowledge of that.
Well, I'm just saying, the MMA conference, that is in January. We start getting notification of that the end of September, beginning of October, for mid-January conference date. I'm going to say, with that being a state or national association, you're probably getting the same type of lead time. And there probably is a quick cutoff date that occurred that he could not cancel without some sort of a penalty. And I'm just saying, okay, just knowing what happens on our side for MMA, okay, you know, we have to make hotel reservations by a certain date, you have to register by a certain date, and if you cancel after a certain date, you lose money.
Right, which is understandable, but also,
But do we know if they ever discussed this at a school committee meeting? That's my only question.
right, so I think we're just saying to them that what the bylaw states, so make sure that they're clear of that. So when it is being submitted for something that is outside the bylaw, there should be a reason, as you just stated, Chris, not just to pay it, so at least that way we know why it's being paid.
So, that's
If
all.
they put an attachment to it stating the reason why, then we know.
Things happen, just like perfectly what you stated, so we made
You
it
know.
before his contract was signed, and that's an obligation he had, and, you know,
That's all, I'm just saying, when people say, well, we don't know how it occurred, well, you can sort of see how it could have occurred, that's all. The timing issues,
yeah, but it'd be nice to hear it, though.
yes,
So we-
and that's fine.
You don't have to guess or assume why it happened or why.
Well, I just don't want it to look like they buried their head in the sand and just did it. There is ways of seeing how it could have occurred, and that's all I'm trying to put out there.
Yeah, no, I
Good, bad,
agree.
and different,
I
good, bad, and
agree.
different.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it was just, I think it was more of a.
I call it a
just make
timing
sure.
issue.
Yeah, and it probably was. But unless someone tells us that, we don't know, so. But
That's
that's
okay.
a great point.
That's all. You were doing common vic,
I am doing common vics, yes.
and those are the orange one, I think. Let's flip it over.
Maybe the license,
That's the license one.
so
That's the license. Just one, okay. So we have a common vic license for Charter Days, Town of Granby, 32 Kendall Street, Granby, Mass. Is hereby granted a license for entertainment license to be provided entertainment to customers as follows. Live entertainment consisting of karaoke, DJ, bands to be held at Gazebo during Charter Days on June 14th, 15th, and 16th, 2019, located at 32 Kendall Street, Dufresne Park, Granby, Mass. Also oxen to truck and tractor pulls.
And can I make a friendly amendment that the fee be waived for the permit? Is there a fee associated with the permit? It's for charter days. It's not for a private entity. So we're going to take out of one pocket and just put it in another pocket within the town.
Right, it's actually Charter Days that's requesting it. I'm fine with that. Waive the fee.
Waive fee.
Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion that we grant the license and also waive the fee.
I will second Glenn's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Still by nobody.
I know. There you go.
All right. The common vic license for Charter Day Committee for 32 Kendall Street, Granby, Mass. 01033. And said Town of Granby. And the places only expires December 31st, 2019, unless sooner suspended or revoked for violation of the laws of the Commonwealth respecting the licensing of common viculars. This license is issued in conformity with the authority granted by licensing authorities by General Law, Chapter 140, amendments thereto. So, it's a license for Charter Day, for Charter Day Committee, for them to have Charter Days.
No, they have entertainment.
Oh, entertainments, okay,
And again, to waive the fee.
okay. So I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the common vic license for the Charter Day Committee, and also I'll make a motion that we waive the fee associated with the license.
I will second Glenn's motion as read.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Still no way.
All right, that's two done. Oh, right there. Okay, yep.
That was a cover letter along with the other information for each of the board members.
Well, see, it was supposed to be done back in 1960 was.
That's when we originally got the park, yeah. It's only taken us 50 years.
Actually, interesting, I got some feedback from some people that are actually from out of town and how impressed they were with Dufresne Park. And they, just the trails and stuff up there, the scenery and stuff like that. It's, someone said it's a hidden gem that a lot of people don't know about. So.
We want to keep it that way.
What's a hidden gem?
Dufresne Park.
It is.
It is.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, no, it's,
I was saying some people from out of town had visited the park recently, and they made comments how nice it was, and you know that what they could do there and stuff like that. So it's nice to hear.
The meeting that Senator Eric Lesser had was the selectmen's meeting that I went to. A number of different people made comments how they like Dufresne's Park and they do come, and they wanted to know how come we don't do more events there. And I said, well, we really don't have an events director. But a lot of people do come just to go there.
But I think it's just a nice area to go and
I agree.
relax and go through the trails. And
you need to decide this.
I just said we hadn't got to it yet, that's the only reason I decided. We haven't got to it yet.
You're welcome. Approve and sign the letter, so. I know,
The letter's up by Jay.
yeah, it's up by Jay, I know, I saw it. I know we mentioned before, we're gonna send a letter to, the school committee in reference to, transportation, looking for, the ability to, reimbursement in regards to Chapter 74 transportation reimbursement was with Smithville Vocational. So we approved it last time. This is actually the letter that was drafted. So just going to make a motion that we approve or sign the letter and send it to the school committee.
I'll second Glenn's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There we go.
You ready for me to start next before we go into executive session?
You have other things you want to talk about before then?
Minutes?
Meeting minutes. She made the change already. She's
Are we
quick.
going to do minutes before my presentation?
She's getting worried.
You've been pretty quiet all night.
No, she's been vocal tonight.
I know, yeah, her, but not talking about, you've been pretty quiet tonight.
Here's the change to the meeting minutes she's already made.
Oh, thank you. Okay. She's made the,
Yes. yes, as Jay said, this is when I did all my reading. I'm missing the date of this.
Because you don't have the full packet of minutes. Do you have them down there, Jay? You only have the last page that was changed.
Right
I
here.
think Steve had them all
There you go.
in her folder.
That's it, Steve.
There you go.
Thanks.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There you go.
Because when I read them, I just found that word out of place, and she ran upstairs and quickly changed it.
There's all the stuff I read, yeah. Oh, interesting piece on the high school roof, because I know that came up at our last meeting. I saw that, was it Titan Roofing that was there? I think all the repairs are done.
There was one other little leak that they found after all this rain, and he was up there, I think, did this afternoon, or he's going up tomorrow morning to reseal that one spot.
Excellent.
I can tell you from many people that happened to see the roofing company up there, was very pleased. So, thank you. I know you took a part in kind of getting that motion up and running again, so. I'm going to make a motion that we accept our meeting minutes from October 15th, 2018, as amended.
I will second Glenn's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Now, do I have Mrs. Leonard's permission to see the my items?
Is it all right if he goes? Okay, go ahead. You're all set.
First item is Dufresne Rental. It's for Granby Charter Days for the period June 10th through June 17th, 2019. Number of police to be signed will be determined by the police chief. Liquor authorized is no, but we do know that the American Legion is planning on holding a beer tent again, so we will go through that process when they come in with their application. That's the only rental that I have at this point in time. I want to let the board know that the report that was filed by Ty and Bond regarding the review of the limited subsurface investigation of the fire training areas for the PFAs was submitted to DEP. DEP has reviewed it, they have accepted it, and no further action is required at this time due to the fact that the amounts that were detected were way below the limits that we would have to address.
That's great.
And basically, but we also have to be aware that the department is continuing to evaluate the health protective limits for PFAs, and future changes to the guidelines or development of a standard may require action by us in the future. But
They changed the specs, then we got it.
if they change the limits, then we may have to deal with
something.
it at that point in time.
Sounds like
But that's like anything else in the world.
we're already below it, so.
Okay. The next item is the annual tree lighting ceremony, Christmas tree lighting ceremony, the first Sunday in December, so that would be December 2nd. I believe Kathy has been in touch with the Boy Scouts. They will be decorating the tree. She has sent a email, was it an email, Kathy, to Miss Sapowski?
Yep, I'm in touch with the music director.
To see if we can get the chorus out there to lead the community in some Christmas carols. And also been in touch with the Immaculate Heart of Mary to see if we can get their cellar area for Santa, for the children to meet Santa. And I believe the fire department is already willing to make sure there is an engine available so Santa can arrive in style.
What time was that at?
6 p.m.
6 PM.
Okay. It'd just be nice if the board could go, because usually we try and get at least one board member to make a speech at the beginning.
Can we make it, Santa shows up in the back of a cruiser this year? A little different.
We can try, but the problem is he can't get out by himself. They have to release him.
I think that'd be great, yeah.
Then another item that Jay and I are currently looking at, there's a program through National Grid to convert our street lights and our floodlights to LED lights. The changeover would be no cost for the removal and installation, the removal of the existing high-pressure sodiums and replacing with LED lights. It would just be our annual rental or monthly rental that we do currently. The concern I have is I just want the police department to go around, identify the inventory that we have, and see if we want it to be same level of intensity or a little bit less or a little bit more, just to make sure that we cover everything before we go forward with this project with National Grid.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, it was interesting, we have 2 inactive lights that were shut off by the town. And one is on East Street, one is on Taylor Street.
Why'd you shut them off?
I didn't.
I'll turn it back on.
They were always shut. They were shut off before I got here, so I have no clue why they were ever shut off. But I want those investigated too, just to make sure that we don't want those, because if we don't turn them back on, they're just actually going to remove it off the pole because they're going down around town.
Right.
The projected savings for the town, currently the estimate of our usage for these lights is 68,000 kilowatts per year. That could be dropped down to 24,000 potentially per year.
Which is a substantial savings, and we need to close in on the 20% reduction, which would increase our incentives.
Right, that's 4.5.
Well, on that particular part, but when you look at energy, you gotta look at every source in the town. Electric, gasoline.
But I mean, it just
But
that
that's
particular-
a 44,000
Right.
kilowatt
Just
reduction based
yeah.
on 68,000, so
I'm
almost
actually-
two-thirds. I'm going to say almost two-thirds.
Yeah.
They should be finishing up with the safety complex, hopefully, if the parts come in, I'm saying by Thanksgiving, but the word I put out is 1 December. I'm interested to see on January's bill on the safety complex itself, just see how much it went down. Because that's our major source of electricity. I mean, we could look at this building here, because this one's been lit up for quite a while. At the next month's bill, but the safety complex has them that they actually go off. Their motion sensors inside the safety complex.
But I just want to let the board
Yep.
know that we are looking at LEDs.
Yep.
The only concern, and Jay and I were talking about this earlier today, was a high-pressure sodium light has a bigger area that it lights.
Yes.
Where I see, when you look at an LED, it's like a cone of light.
The cone effect, yep.
So that's the only concern I may have, that I want to make sure that we're not,
Yeah.
just to save the power, that we're not eliminating safety concerns.
I know I was on a committee that this came up a few years ago, and that's what they did. They switched over, and there was a lot of streetlights. It was actually in the city of Holyoke, and there was a lot of complaints from residents that they're so used to the other lights lighting up a whole area, where the new lights kind of just
I call it a cone.
Cone effect.
It's like a
Yeah,
cone,
it
it's like a
was.
cylinder. It's almost like a cylinder.
where they noticed the difference. The light was actually brighter, but it
Yes.
didn't
Illuminate.
illuminate as further out. So that was
Using the safety complex as an example with their exterior lighting, which we did first because of the lightning strike, so we wouldn't have to pay for a repair. The dispatches, and you can talk to the officers there, say that their surveillance cameras are excellent now.
well. I said it's a
With a
bright.
word
It's
before,
it's
right.
it's a brighter light, but it's just not as I think as broad.
Spread out.
Spread out. Yeah.
Right, and that's one thing that needs to be changed in our bylaws, we talked before in the planning
Yeah.
board.
Yep.
And they need to be added there, because they got
before switching to them.
Yeah.
So, but,
Yeah.
we are exploring it, just so the board knows, so.
Yep.
Before we pull the trigger, we will make sure the board,
Like you said too, you can look at, higher intensity,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it's there, especially for, the 2/3 that we're saving is huge.
yeah, so.
Does the board want to come back again, or just want to give Chris the authority to sign the paperwork when we get down to that part, is determining to go over to LED?
I don't see a need to come back. I mean, I'm in favor of it.
Well, that's why I'm asking now, so
Yeah.
that way we won't be holding it up when we're coming into the holiday season, that once we get it finalized and we're happy with it, Chris has the authority to sign.
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we give Chris Martin the authority to sign for the street and the pole lights, because there are some pole lights and not just street lights.
Kind of like the floodlight in here that lights this.
Right,
Right.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. The authority to sign for National Grid to come in and do that at no charge to the town.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
So you can blame me when the light gets.
Well, no, I have no problem giving you authority to sign for something where there's no cost.
And do we want to mention that Steve signed the Meta grant? And we've sent it off?
That's up to you. Yeah.
Well, the board only knew that we applied for the Meta grant. I don't think they know it was approved. And it came in, and because we had a suspense date, it had to be in by,
Yeah.
Steve signed it. But since the board had approved the application,
Signed and,
right, it was just a matter of formality to get it done. But now we have to go off of RFPs to get the people to do the work. And Chris and I are working on that also.
For my next topic, I'd like to have the fire chief come up.
Sure.
Regards a couple of emails that were received. Jay, you forwarded them from George Randall III,
Yes, I got one this morning and I forwarded
but
it.
I'm just saying, there's two of them.
Yes,
The first one was from Monday, October 29th, dealing with a question as to why a primary response truck didn't start this morning. As such, it failed to respond to a multiple CO alarm call at East Meadow School. The driver was forced to take engine 3. Engine 3 is the truck the chief proposes to sell if he orders the new mini pumper. I had forwarded this to the board. Okay.
yeah, I saw.
And once this was received by me, I asked Chief Mitchell to meet with me to discuss if they knew why it didn't start, and to sort of fill me in on the maintenance schedule for all our vehicles. And I'd just like Chief Mitchell to supply the information he found from the gentleman who was in charge of the maintenance schedule of our equipment.
So, good evening. In light of the email that came out, I did some further looking into the maintenance care of the apparatus. The person who runs that is Lieutenant Tyler Yvonne, and he does a spectacular job at taking care of overseeing our maintenance program. Our maintenance program includes weekly checks of each apparatus. It also includes a yearly in-service preventive maintenance checks, if you will, lubes, oils, things of that nature. The incident that happened in question, let me start first of all with just the history of what's been going on with that truck real briefly here. So we had come across a leak in engine 1. It was determined that it had to do with some sort of a casing around a valve and some gaskets and some other pieces. And this is a 24-year-old piece. Once it was determined that there was a leak, we did what we could to mitigate it. However, it took the actual pumping and we put it in a status where, I mean, when we say it's an emergency vehicle, you use it for emergencies, but emergency use as a definition for us is slightly different, meaning, you know, if we can use another piece, we're going to use another piece that, you know, but if something's happening or we can use that apparatus, engine one in this case, for something else, then we do. And it could be used to transport staffing, manpower, equipment, things of that nature. So we found the leak. We're in the midst of working on potentially getting that fixed. We've identified some other issues starting to arise with engine one. On the day in question, regarding this apparatus, there was a call for a report of multiple CO alarms going off at the high school. Engine 2, the day staff responded as normal with 2 members on the truck. Additional members were showing up. The standard response on a first alarm for us is engine 2 and tanker 1. I was not in that day. I was attending a class, but for whatever reason, individuals came to the station and were trying to use engine 1, and they found that the apparatus wouldn't start. It was dead. Lieutenant Yvonne, who happened to have been on that day, made a very deliberate and appropriate response by deciding to inform the crew members that were there to take another apparatus and respond to the call. After the call was completed, they came back. Lieutenant Yvonne looked through the apparatus and determined that the onboard charger has gone bad. It's not an uncommon piece of equipment on an apparatus to go. But the truck had just been checked the previous, let me see, that's Bay 3, so it would have been Wednesday. This was found on Monday. The truck was fine when checked on Wednesday. We've put essentially a trickle charger onto the apparatus. It is able to be started and run. We're still using it on a limited means. We've ordered, or we are ordering the onboard charger to replace it so that we can get it back in status and service as far as being able to start. But the apparatus is getting old, and we're starting to experience some additional issues with it, which is understandable for an apparatus of that age.
How often are the engines started? On a regular basis, or they just, I mean, could they go weeks at a time without being started?
No. Apparatus are started at least once a week, and I say at least because we get calls throughout the time, so I mean, they get turned over at various points. The way that the truck checks are conducted in the station is Bay 1 and 10, which is the ambulance and my vehicle, get inspected on Monday. Tuesday, Bay 2 and Bay 9, which is the tanker, and then R1, our resource, the other Tahoe, is inspected. On Wednesdays, it's 3 and 8. That's the engine 1 and engine 3. On Thursdays, it's Bay 4 and 7. Thank you. Trying to. And that's engine 2, and then that's the antique there, so it's kind of a, you know, short day for them. Excuse me. And then Fridays is Bay 5 and 6. That's several vehicles. It's our Resource 3, which is the utility pickup that pulls the trailer for the Resource 4, which is our ATV. Those two vehicles get checked on Friday, as well as our brush truck. So that's our maintenance, that's our inspection schedule. In the past, the inspections were completed on paper, and the members of the department had approached me and asked me if, just for stopping the waste of paper, if we can handle it on another means. I agreed, with the caveat that an email would be sent out, and I do have the email that was sent out by Lieutenant Yvonne on July 17. Starting tomorrow, we will no longer fill out paper truck checks. I laminated copies of the sheets, which will be near the label maker. We need to make sure we're recording the truck checks and Rescue Bridge as a weekly check on a daily basis. If there's a problem found with the truck during the truck check, it needs to be recorded in Rescue Bridge. And as always, if it isn't immediately repairable or is something to be concerned, let's get an email sent out to the appropriate members, which in this case would have been him. If it's the ambulance, it would be Mr. Pandora.
Can I interrupt you 1 second?
Yes.
What is Rescue Bridge?
Rescue Bridge is our computer system. It's essentially our records management system. It's where we do our incident reports. I'm going to say that this program, when it was purchased back in 2012, I believe, they brought it in and it has not been used to its potential. There are modules in it that have not been used, and it's to the point where it's very much no longer appropriate for us. We're going to be looking at requesting for a different system in the future that'll suit our needs better, but what I have been doing is digging into it a little bit more. What I have done, we found that some of the checks weren't being logged when they would be done. I know they were being done because I would come in and see the firefighters checking the fire trucks, but they weren't logging them. Since this event, I have found a module inside of Rescue Bridge, which is essentially aptly called checklists. And I have created checklists for most all of the vehicles. I'm still banging my way through that. But now the members have a means to appropriately log it and allow us better tracking of the weekly checks. But fire trucks break down just like our cars break down. So, I mean, I can't control a fire truck breaking down. We react accordingly. I do believe in the email that Mr. Randall said that he had concern that the community was in danger as a result of this. I would argue that the community was completely and totally protected and safe, especially with the well-trained staff that we have making the very quick assessment and having them change to another apparatus to get personnel there.
So the tracking documentation that was on paper, you're currently switching that over to the Rescue Bridge, so all that information is still being documented?
So we were having stacks of paper that would wind up in my office and go nowhere. The members were the ones who approached me and said, this paper-based is just, it's a waste.
I don't look at them going nowhere. I look at that's documentation that says certain things were completed.
No, what I mean by that is after they were filed, they would just
Sit there, well,
sit there.
lots of times, a lot of documentation does for
Right.
many years, that
Right.
it's just as far as it was done.
The members were just concerned that we were just generating paper that didn't need to be generated. So they asked for us to allow this weekly check to be done. Well, because people either weren't properly trained in this program or didn't take the effort to really dig into it and understand it, they didn't understand that there was a checklist module that, again, I used, and I believe I brought samples of the checklists I created, but this is going to make things a whole lot easier. It's going to be paperless, and it's going to be a tracking system that, you know, will not only tell us when something's wrong, it will tell us, we'll know when people aren't doing the checks.
Is there a standard that's set, Chief, where vehicles are supposed to be checked so many times? Is there a state standard that requires that?
There's no standard. It's a lot of it is manufacturer's recommendations. A lot of it is dependent on departments. Larger departments can certainly do these things more often.
Right.
Smaller departments where apparatus may not get used as much are less likely to experience certain mechanical issues, so it's acceptable to check them on a more infrequent basis. But they are checked once a month. I will say I've worked for departments that they don't even touch their trucks but once a month to check them.
So what was the time frame in between, I guess, when we stopped the paper documentation and you know, as you said, that some of the documentation wasn't being done in the rescue bridge, right? The rescue bridge?
Rescue bridge, correct.
Rescue bridge.
So this,
talking weeks, months?
this was sent out by Lieutenant Yvonne on 12 July. Go backwards, excuse me. So from 12 July, the last weekly inspection check that was logged in the system was 9/27 of 17. So they went from July till September.
July 17 to September 17?
Excuse me, 29th, what was the date that Tyler put out there? From July 12th till September 27th, the truck checks were being logged, and then for some reason, it fell off.
It fell off where? On September 27th it fell off?
Right.
So how long did it fall off for? This is my question.
Well, now.
Till now. Not the checks themselves, the logging of the checks. The checks have been,
I don't know, if there's no documentation. I don't know if the checks have been
I know
done.
that. I understand that,
That's why we have
and
that.
that's an issue that we've identified
Right.
as a result of this. But I can tell you that they were checked because I see them checking them every
Right.
day, and I'm sure the members would stand by their work. But we've identified the deficiency of not having the records, and I've taken the appropriate steps to correct it.
Since that date that you just mentioned, last time it was documented, to date, today, except for this one incident, this
Yep.
fire truck incident, how many other incidences has been logged or documented that a vehicle or an apparatus or something failed?
Okay, that's a very good question, okay, because what we are very good at logging is when repairs or certain maintenance is done to the apparatus. And again, that falls on Lieutenant Yvonne, who's done a super job. So on,
I'm trying to think I'm Lieutenant Yvonne, but I don't consider it a super job. It's missing for.
I'd like that.
No, but I'm just saying, I
want to
think.
answer the question. And he's doing that.
Okay, I'll follow what he's done.
Thank you.
so Lieutenant Yvonne has done an excellent job on his end with overseeing the maintenance and repair aspect of it, of logging these things when they are done. The last issue that the last two issues that we well, I shouldn't say issues. The one issue we had with the truck that was a repair issue was logged in April of 2017, which they replaced the tilt cab latch assembly to engine 1. And I only have the records for 1 right now because that's the only apparatus in question, but I'm sure I could do this for any one of them. Lieutenant Yvonne did also log that a preventative maintenance check and inspection, which included oil, fuel, spark plugs, and a complete check of the apparatus, was completed in February 12th of 2018. So where the weekly checks may have fallen to the side, what hasn't fallen to the side is things like logging annual inspections and annual pump tests, which are important for us. It was identified during one of the weekly checks when they were doing them, battery terminals were cleaned. So marker lights, so we log the stuff when they actually happen.
Can I ask an additional follow-up question?
Sure.
When we talked, you had mentioned that the vehicles are sent out to an outside company on a annual basis, triannual basis, biannual basis, to be fully gone over by the manufacturer or a company that specializes in.
So we're using right now Greenwood, which is a fire apparatus vendor, and they do some manufacturing. But we have been sending our trucks there, and they go a full soup to nuts, bumper to bumper, pump test. They do everything. As a matter of fact, Greenwood was just out here a couple days ago, doing some pump tests on the apparatus. So, we are maintaining these apparatuses as we should be.
I don't think there's any question that they're being maintained. I believe that fully, that they're being maintained, they're being checked. My only concern, Chief, is that you have a policy or a protocol in place as far as documentation. And to me, for 5 weeks, the documentation wasn't taking place. There's not an excuse for that. So that's my concern.
Longer than that. That was 2017.
That was 2017 stopped?
Yes.
Oh.
So,
well, that's...
It's a year and 5
well,
then
here's
it's a large concern of mine that a protocol that's supposed to be in place has not been taking place.
Here's the problem. There was no official SOP stating that they were to do truck checks at different times. Okay? Yet again, another deficiency that I've identified, and I have rectified that with, I have written, and as the board, I'm sure knows by now, I'm working on redoing all of the SOPs in the department because they're old, antiquated, and inappropriate. I have finished the SOP regarding several items, but in particular, emergency and special apparatus. And I have a section that addresses apparatus inspections. So this is SOP PG 1.1.3, emergency and special apparatus. Section 8, procedures, guidelines, information, apparatus, vehicle inspections. Apparatus and vehicle inspections shall be done on, as assigned by an established schedule, the schedule which I provided you a short time ago. In instances when an inspection cannot be performed during the day duty crew, the crew will notify the next shift working to ensure the inspection is complete. Inspections shall, this is policy, shall be conducted in a systematic manner using the approved checklist to ensure no items are missed and annotated in the computer system.
Can I make a recommendation?
Yes.
The word shall is changed to must.
Shall is the accepted for policy.
Shall.
Must, it typically goes to procedure. So in order to get from A to B, you must do, A.1.
Right.
The accepted verbiage for policy is shall.
Okay.
So again, I understand that these are concerns, but the
You know how many months this work being done, which is extremely alarming to me.
Are you ready for the next thing?
I am.
I don't think, the letter that was sent, email that was sent from Tyler to the staff, that was July 12th of 2017, correct? And the checks were being logged until September of 2017.
correct.
So nothing's been since, logged since 9/27/17.
Yes. Okay. On his investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was the chief maybe under the presumption that they were being done? Could very well be, don't know, but I don't know what to tell you. on
That was my presumption. When I gave a directive and it was put out there by the lieutenant, and it's in there saying they will be done, the presumption was it would be being done. Now,
If you have this problem with the engine one, then without this been discovered?
well, that's the thing, that the trucks were being checked. I understand that they haven't been documented, but they were being checked.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying, Chief, as far as the documentation.
Yeah.
That's a concern to me, because that's part of what should be done, and I'm glad that you're putting the SOPs in place, so certain things that people assume that they needed to do that may not follow up on, but to me, that's an important piece, so we're ever called in on something, where's your documentation? No, we don't have it.
Yep, I agree. I believe the documentation is very important. Again, I believed it was being done.
I believe it's being done, but again, when it comes into a legal term, where's your documentation that's being done?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
it's being rectified, which is good to hear. Yeah, absolutely.
The next email that I forwarded to the board members was from November 8th. From George Randall III to Mr. Joyce again. Jay, is the chief's motorcycle supposed to be parked in the building? It looks like it is plugged into the electricity. Would that be like stealing electricity? If his bike got damaged while inside the building, who would be responsible for the repair? I sent you a picture of the bike in the building, judge for yourself.
And just for clarification, there was no picture with the email.
Well, I was gonna mention your response back to him, but you didn't give me a chance, did you?
Oh, but I did find it on Facebook later on tonight before I came in.
So it's being posted on Facebook, but not being addressed to the board. I have a problem with that again, Jay.
I do
okay?
too.
Okay,
I'm
because
a-
here we are arguing this stuff on Facebook
Yes,
instead of bringing it to the selectmen's attention to be addressed internally.
I am not denying that at all. When I forwarded the original message, I said there was no picture attached. I went to the meeting with Mass DOER in Springfield. I came back here, I read my emails and stuff, and I looked at my Facebook account, and that's when I saw the picture. I did not have any idea until that time frame, because I left early this morning after talking to Kathy, after giving her a copy of the email, and I went to work in Springfield. And I put on the email, there was no picture attached. And I did not discover the picture until I returned, it's probably, was it 4 or 5 o'clock, Kathy, something like that? And I went and started doing my emails, because I don't have a window.
And I'm not saying that, Jay, but here we are again.
Right.
Now we're arguing things on social media
Yep,
instead of getting it to you. Oh, here's the picture, you never got the picture. He never followed up to send you the picture. No, he posted it on Facebook instead. Okay? Again, this is bordering on harassment as far as I'm concerned. Every little thing is being questioned now. Okay? Equipment break. How many other people have plugged their personal cell phone in to charge it while they're at work? Do we charge them for the use of electricity? Or Jay, you plug your personal laptop here when you're coming in here. Are we supposed to be charging you for the electric use now?
So,
You know, it's getting to be ridiculous.
I understand that, but just so we're clear, Facebook it's freedom of speech. So, you know, pictures that people are placing up there, it's public. I'm not gonna attack people for doing such things. You know, I wish the picture was attached. Chief, you know, was your motorcycle in the bay?
yes, it was.
Was it being charged?
Yes, it was, and I have paid the town a fee of 34 cents in pennies for the use of the electricity.
So, but, okay, that aside, is there a policy in place that should not be happening? Does everybody who is a town employee have the ability to do something like that, whether to pay the town or not pay the town? That's my...
The Board of Selectmen have never created a policy regarding that, because it's never been an issue that's been raised.
I would hate to be that petty.
Do we not,
This petty.
do we not,
To me, it is.
It's a public building, and if not everybody has the
And
ability to put stuff in
I walk
there,
in
Steve.
so,
That's the point I'm making. I'm not...
Mr. Sexton, my question then is, when my members come in to study and they plug in their laptops, should I tell them not to do that, sir? I'm asking because
Is
if,
that part of their job, while they're there? What are they studying? For school? I mean, what are they doing?
yeah, probably studying for, well, some of them are studying for school, some of them are studying for medic programs. My point is I want to welcome the members in, and if we're being so petty as to make these requirements, I'm not going to have a department.
All right. To me, when we're addressing things aren't petty, because this is taxpayers' money, okay? And I'm not saying, as far as the building, that belongs to the taxpayers of Granby, that building, the town of Granby, okay? Are our personal vehicles allowed to be parked in there? Are we gonna allow any other person to park their vehicle in there? Because you are the chief of the fire department, does that give you the right to park your vehicle in there?
I have allowed...
Those are just questions I'm asking, so if, you know, if there's, yes, that's part of something we allow, okay, if that's something we don't allow, then, again, does other department people have that same ability that work for the town?
I do allow my members to pull their vehicles in the bay at certain times. One of those times being if I have a small staff at night covering for snow coverage, and I can make room in the bay so that the members who are covering the station can park in the bay so that we can keep the parking lot clear, for it to be clear of snow, and to maybe make it a little bit easier for the members when they are done in the morning to pull out and head home and not have to clear off their vehicles. Yeah, I've allowed it.
Okay, what about the fire department, the police department?
I can't speak on the police department. I'm the fire department.
Do you understand where I'm coming from?
But the police department don't have a bay.
But you understand where I'm coming from? We need to be consistent of way we're treating people. And that's where it comes for, is that you cannot treat one individual different and not treat the other people the same way.
So I'm treating my department members the same.
They're town employees. All town employees should be treated the same way.
So
I don't
does
go to
this
the-
board want to create a policy regarding this? No other prior board has created any policies, because it's never been raised as an issue.
As far as
I want to know, I would like to know what other circumstances besides the fire department he is overlooking, so he can criticize other departments. I mean, it's what it's amounting to. And it does appear to me that he's targeting. And that's how I'm viewing it. And it's not appropriate.
I don't look at it always, Steve. I look at someone.
That's my view.
Right, and again, and as I said, I don't look at it that way. I look
We
at,
don't look at the police department, ask them, you can't take your personal cell phone and you can't plug it in to recharge it. You don't turn around, it's just, you don't go to the highway department and view everything they do and make sure that they're doing every single little thing appropriate, and I agree with that.
But when someone brings a complaint forward to this board, it's a responsibility of this board to research it and
Well, then I'm in favor of...
Can I finish, Steve?
Yes,
Can I
you
finish?
can.
Thank you.
You can.
It's the responsibility of this board to take a look at it and decide whether or not that complaint has merit and whether or not that should be happening or not. No, we don't go into every single building and look at something, but when something's brought in front of this board, it is our responsibility to the town to look at it, review it, and come and base a decision on it. Chief, was your vehicle there? Were you driving to work that day? That's why I was there. I was there for a long period of time.
It was put in there originally because I've used my trailer to transport fire association equipment over to Dufresne's Park and back for Charter Day. I needed to use my trailer for something else, so I did place because we were having some rain, I did place it in the bay for a period of time.
What's the period of time?
I don't know, I think it was like 5 days. Because I also had military drill, so I didn't get time to put it back in my trailer.
But I'm not...
My point is I pulled it outside yesterday. It was put back in the station last night, not by me.
Okay. But again, that's just the point I'm looking at, that, again, as far as the board's concerned, just my thought, my opinion, that it's, and I hear what you're saying, Chief, but again, I would say to anything, just as to the fire department, the police department, the public works building, these are all public-owned buildings. We cannot treat them as our own personal use. That's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making.
No problem, Mr. Sexton. I will make sure that members of the department don't use any devices of any sort inside the department. I'm going to guarantee you, you're going to alienate the department.
That's not what I said, Chief.
It sounds it.
That's not what I said. To me, if someone is, part of their responsibility, part of their duties, for example, there's a committee meeting or a board meeting, and someone comes in and is using their computer and has it plugged in. To me, that they're involved in a town that's being something they're doing something for the town. Numerous times, Jay will come in here with his computer. To me, that is not taking something away. That is part of his job. Part of his job is being on a board. He chooses to use a computer as a way of keeping notes, keeping track of things, versus having a notebook. So, yes, as a town, we provide certain things to make sure that we can accommodate that. That's all. To me, and I can tell you don't agree with me, which is fine, but again, the way I look at it, if it's a personal vehicle, to me, that's something different. And I think when it becomes to a town building, town property, certain things that we can't use as personal use. And I'm not saying, you want me to broadcast it over everything. That's not what I'm saying. This particular incident that we're talking about, that's the way I see it. I'm not talking about, you say, well, everybody can't use their computers, they can't do this,
So
they can't
because
do
it
that.
was
But
me.
that's not what I was saying.
So because it was me, this is being directed to me.
It's what, the complaint.
Is it being directed to me?
It is right now, Chief, because this is what the complaint was about. So yes, and again, I look at, but would I say that about anybody else's vehicle? Absolutely. It would not change. If the chief of police vehicle was in there, his own personal vehicle, I'd question that as well, if that was brought forward.
Well, the only concern I have is the way he worded it. He's stealing electricity. Okay? That is a problem with me, because I've seen personal cell phones plugged into outlets down here charging. I know people bring their own personal stuff in and they charge it here. That's an issue. If we're gonna start saying we have to stop anybody from taking any electricity out of any public building, then we have to create a policy that says you are not allowed to do this.
It looks at what people are doing, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm going back to a vehicle being in the bay. And if the vehicle wasn't in the bay, I don't think there'd be any question at anything.
No, I think the fact that it was me, there's an issue, because
Okay.
I will tell you that the individual who made this complaint knows that other people have brought their cars in there and has never addressed this issue before.
What I'm saying to you, chief, doesn't matter to me if it's you, it doesn't matter to me if it's someone else, it doesn't matter to me if it's the chief of police. Again, that is a public building, and if we're using it for personal use, if someone's dropping off, you had your vehicle there for 5 days, a motorcycle.
So I will have the association pull their 38 out of the building to them, because it's not a town piece of property, correct?
If that's something the town wishes to say it's okay for them to have it there, then I'm fine with that. You keep on taking this to a different level, and that's not where I'm trying to go with this.
What's in the building? You go.
You had a question for the chief?
What's in the building that doesn't belong to the town?
38, the town's very first fire truck.
The
It belongs-
antique engine.
It belongs to the Firemen's Association, which is not town property, so I will have them remove that this week.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion from this board that we allow that vehicle to be there.
I think we need to have a discussion.
Discussion on whether the vehicle is staying there?
Yep.
Because the chief just told us he's gonna remove it, and I don't want that to happen,
That's why I said we'd rather have a discussion about it.
so. Well, this is a discussion. I put a motion that I don't want that vehicle removed from that building.
If it doesn't belong to the town,
You either can second my motion, don't second
It's up to
it.
him.
That is my motion, that I do not want that vehicle removed from
I
inside the
will
building.
second Glenn's motion, but I want to say something here before you go to vote and discussion. As far as I'm concerned, we're getting into micromanagement, and Mr. Martin is the town administrator, and what Mr. Martin allows and what Mr. Martin doesn't allow, we will address. I don't think our board should be addressing everything, because we have to depend on him to make decisions on certain things. Yes, I'm agreeing with what you're saying, but when we're talking cell phones, when we're talking laptops, we're going kind of crazy, you know what I'm saying?
I hear you, Jay. I wasn't talking cell
I know you
phones.
weren't, and that's
wasn't
why I
talking-
second your
any-
motion.
Any of that stuff, I
Right.
was
well, that,
particularly talking, I wasn't even talking about the electricity. I was particularly talking about the complaint that came forward.
Right.
As far as a personal vehicle being housed, if you will, inside a public building for a period of time. That's all, that's what I was addressing.
Right, and I
That's
have
my
no
concern.
problems with that, that's why I seconded it. But I just wanted to clarify that there are some things that are gonna have to be decided on a daily basis. Well, who's here on a daily basis? It's Mr. Martin.
But I need to say something. If
Okay.
I don't know what's going on, I
You-
can't address it.
I agree entirely.
Unless this board is gonna tell me I have to tour all my buildings 2 or 3 times a day.
I'm not telling you to do
But
that.
I'm just saying, if I don't know what's going on, I can't address it.
Right, and then when
Either.
you find out something, then you will address it accordingly.
All I said, okay, and I'll say it again, a complaint was made, it is responsibility of this board to review that complaint, discuss it, find if there's any merit to it, and make a decision. I looked at it from my point of view, and people may feel different. If you feel different, that's fine. I don't feel any, as this complaint was about a vehicle being stored inside a public building. Yes, it was talking about electricity being used. My concern was more towards, I looked at it's a public building. It's owned by the taxpayers. Not everybody has that ability to store a vehicle there. So that's where I was coming from.
Okay, my opinion on the whole thing, because I've been quiet, is I don't think publicly owned vehicles should be in any town building unless approved by the town administrator with justification. No thing, privately owned vehicle. If that vehicle ever caught fire or anything happened, then we could have a problem with the town. Okay, I agree with that. But as far as the other stuff, as far as computers, cell phones, and there's no stealing of electricity. Everybody's trying to do their job. I'm not looking at that. But yes, as far as the vehicles, there shouldn't be privately owned vehicles in public buildings unless justified and approved by the daily town administrator, because he has to justify it to us. Correct?
And I agree, Jay, that's exactly the point I was making. I was
Okay.
not going down the road talking about cell phones and talking about computers. I was not talking about that.
Okay.
Well, my problem is you just said privately owned vehicles. The 38 is not owned by the town, it's privately owned by the association.
Yeah.
So now you're countermanding your own statement by saying we can leave that, we should be leaving that vehicle in there.
As Jay just spoke to, and I agree with, if there's a reason, a valid reason why a vehicle should be stored in a public building, and the administrator, the town wants to bring it to us, and this board approves it, I don't have a problem with that. And Chief, in all fairness too, I don't think comparing a historic fire truck to the town is comparable to your motorcycle.
Correct, but I have had
That's the way you just made it.
I have
And
had
take offense to
issue
that.
with the 38 being in there anyway, because I don't want to have it dinged or banged. The way they had the bay set up, the hose rack was over there. Okay, the last thing I want is for that 38 to get damaged by operations that go on day to day. So I've had issues with the 38 being in there since I've been here.
So if there's a better place for the association to store it, maybe that's something the association
But
should
that's on
look
the
at.
association, that's not on me.
Agreed, and that's why I said, from my understanding, the association does have money in their account. So if they would feel it's a better place to store it, and you feel it's a better place to store it, as far as you don't want damage to happen to it, which, you know, no one wanted any damage to happen to that. I know they spent a lot of money in restoring it, so I don't have a concern with that.
The issue is they don't have another place to store it. I'll state that right from the get-go with talking with Todd. There is no other place to store it.
And would you,
Out of the elements, out of the elements.
Right, and would
I'm going to qualify, out of the
Right,
elements.
absolutely,
as the
yeah.
town administrator, do you have a problem with the antique Granby fire truck in the fire station as long as it doesn't interfere with other equipment? That's all I'm saying.
But as long as the association understands, it could get damaged based upon where it's being stored and what's occurring in that
Then
area.
we should just create a document that the town is not responsible for any damage, and if the association wants to leave it there, have them sign it. And that's the end of that.
Because I have to protect ourselves too.
Well,
I
that's why
agree.
I said it that way.
And the chief brings up, you know, a concern that, yeah, you know, when people moving around, stuff can happen, and it could get damaged, right?
Yes.
And their understanding is that if it does get damaged, it's not the town's responsibility to repair it.
Right, the town's allowing them to store it there because they have no other way to put it.
And
The town is not responsible if something happens to it.
I guess, I would imagine, and I don't know, Chris, maybe you would know, that at some point, the town donated that vehicle to the association.
I don't think so. It's
association
way
buy
beyond,
it?
it's way beyond me. I have no
That's where- if
idea.
it-
I have
It's beyond-
I have no idea how it got from town ownership, if it was the first
You say 30,
fire engine for the town, to the association ownership.
Somehow, some way, I don't see the association buying it, I mean, I don't know, but.
To be honest with you, what probably occurred, the town bought a newer pumper truck or a newer fire engine, declared that surplus, and the association just took it. Just like we did with the siren
Yeah.
for the GHA. Same scenario.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Without regard to whether or not personal use of property on town property is not my concern. My concern is that an allegation has been made of theft of town property, i.e. electricity. As you know, the treasurer is responsible for all the assets of the town of Granby, including resources. And as soon as that was brought to my attention, I inquired with the chief about what the particular details of the story is. And in my opinion, there was no theft involved of town assets or resources. And furthermore, I inquired with the chief about the duration of the charger that was hooked up to the motorcycle and duration, and calculated out what the likely total kilowatt hour usage might have been, hence the 34 cents. So I just want to make it perfectly clear, and I hope the board finds that there is no theft of electricity from the town of Granby, without regard to whether or not you can store vehicles, or if we can listen to our own radios or charge our cell phones. That's not my concern. My concern is the allegation made in the complaint, and I'm telling the board that I did not find any theft of town resources.
And I will make a motion, as far as I'm concerned, there was no theft of electricity by the chief from the town of Granby, just like if I use my computer for work or something like that. Now that the POV thing has been clarified, I think that thing should put it to bed, to be perfectly honest with you.
The only other,
I don't want to micromanage stuff. I mean, that's Chris's everyday job.
Jay, the only other thing I would want to also have an understanding be
Yeah.
is that if that motorcycle is normally stored in his own personal trailer, that I allow to be parked on
Yeah.
town property,
Which is your justification?
that he no longer take his motorcycle out so he could use his personal trailer for transportation of town property.
Like I said, Chris.
We
you're
want to
the-
nip this in the bud,
You're the everyday
we're going to nip it
person.
in the bud.
You're the everyday person. If something.
And I'm letting you know that, chief, okay? That you put it in there to keep it out of the elements while you're using it to transport other equipment. I'm not going to allow that anymore then. That motorcycle is to stay in that trailer, period. Period.
Understood.
Unless you're using it for your own personal use on the road. It's that simple.
Okay, I will advise the association that they're gonna have to find their own means to get stuff down to wherever they need to as it occurs. That I can no longer use my personal equipment to aid the firefighters association that supports this town.
Just,
But it's your choice.
No, that wasn't my choice. That was
that's my directive.
Martin's choice.
That's my directive. I'm sorry.
Use his personal vehicle to
No,
transport.
I'm saying he's not to use it because he had to take his motorcycle, he put it in there to keep it out of the elements, then no, that's not going to occur. He's to keep his motorcycle in that trailer, period.
But what he just said was that he's going to tell the association that he's no longer allowed to transport any of his stuff. That is not what you said. You did not say that. If it's a day the chief says, well, I can store my vehicle out here in the parking lot, just like any vehicle, and you can use my trailer, that's totally different. You did not say that, so I don't want that brought across that way. That's not what was said. They did not say that, so I don't want that to be said that the town administrator said that I cannot use my trailer, you cannot use my trailer anymore. That is your choice whether or not you want to let the association use your trailer.
That's not the way I understood it.
I'm sitting right here. Let's just
My
please
issue with
correct
this
me.
whole thing, okay, is the only reason why this is coming to light is because I am being targeted and harassed.
Chief, okay, to me, I don't care how it came to light. Now hear me out, okay? Because a complaint was made. It is our responsibility, as I said before, to follow up, review it, discuss it, and come up with a decision based on a complaint. That's what we did
Is it
here.
not also the town's responsibility to ensure that they're protecting their employees? Because now I feel that you could care less about the fact that a member of the public is obviously targeting a member who's heading a department of the town.
No, that's not what I said. I said that a person came up with a complaint. Any complaint that's made against anybody in the town, as a town employee, it's our responsibility to follow up on it. That's all we did. You're personalizing this from myself, from the board, and I'm not.
No, I'm personalizing it because the board is essentially taking every little thing that's being said about me and saying, the chief's wrong, and we're just gonna, we're gonna appease every little thing.
The only thing I'm talking about in this particular is the complaint that was made. That's the only thing I'm talking about. That is it. I'm not talking about anything else. It was a complaint that was, I know that was the way I talked about it. I know Jay spoke spoke about it the same way. Please correct me, Jay, but I thought Jay
Basically,
agreed
as
what I
far-
said, so.
As far as I'm concerned, the decision is made, there's no POVs or privately owned vehicles allowed in town buildings without the administrator's permission, because the administrator has to have justification to put it in there. That's all I'm saying. I don't mind if Chris does it. I don't want somebody in there changing their brakes on a vehicle or something like that that could fall and they get injured inside a town building. I'm trying to use common sense. And I don't think there was any theft involved from a little bit of electricity, because we all use our electric devices when we come anywhere. And if you're there for a long period of time, you gotta plug them in or they're no good no more. So I think a mountain's being made out of a molehill myself. I mean, the one thing that's been decided is there's no publicly owned or privately owned vehicles allowed in the public buildings unless there is a justification done by the town administrator. In other words, a person can't just drive in on their own without permission. Is that the easiest way to say it? Now, if Chris feels that by using the chief's trailer that the chief is volunteering to use will save the town benefits and money, but to use the chief's trailer, he's got to put the motorcycle in a certain place, that's up to Chris Martin. I'm not worried about that. I think mountain is being made out of a molehill here, and I don't know the reason why. It's not me. I mean, I'm just sitting here taking it all in. There's more and bigger fish to handle than this, in my opinion. And I would give Chris Martin the authority to make the judgments.
He already has it.
I wasn't making a mountain out of a molehill.
No, I wasn't saying you were, I'm saying the whole thing.
But again, I want us to make sure that people understand it's a complaint from
Yes.
a resident of our town. It's not making a mountain out of a molehill. Any complaint brought forward against anybody in town, any town employee, anything, it's our responsibility, our job to look at it and discuss it. And
I
that's all
agree
I'm
with you
saying.
100%. Joe. All I'm trying to say, and maybe I used the wrong choice of words, that we spent way too much time on this subject. It's very easy for me that there's no privately owned vehicles allowed in a town building unless there is justification and approval by the town administrator. That, to me, that ends it right there. I mean, maybe saying I said making a mountain out of a molehill because we've been here for how long talking about it? And I'm just saying is, if there's justification for doing something, there's justification. That's what he gets paid for.
I'm not
trying to put
doing
any limits on stuff.
Do we want to move forward?
that. I do want to move
Yes,
forward.
I definitely will.
But I do want to make it clear that I do not want to see that the fire truck moved out of that department, out of that building. And Chief, I'm just based off what you just said, that's my concern, that
What I would like to
Action will take.
do, Glenn, is ask the association, do they have an alternate place to store the vehicle out of the elements? If they do, then yes, move it to that site, please. If they don't, then leave it there to keep it out of the elements.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
I think we just make it and get it in writing from them that there is no other place
I'm
to
fine
store
with
it.
that.
Okay?
And also, if there is
Yes.
inadvertent damage.
But I'm just saying, as a letter addressed to the Granby Firefighters
Yeah,
Association.
but you know what I'm trying to say,
Yes.
too, Chris.
Yes.
Because the chief's got a point that if something, a hose or a ladder falls and it hits the truck, it's not the town's responsibility to pay for the repair.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying, because we're giving them the luxury, if you want to call it, of allowing their property to stay in the town building.
Using at their own risk.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I'm trying to use common sense, Steve.
Move forward.
Y'all, was for that a long time ago.
The Board of Selectmen will be putting on a meal for the elderly on December 3rd of this year. Just so the board knows that they should probably try and make it if they can.
What's the meal? What time?
It'll be noon, like we normally do.
11:30, yeah, somewhere around there.
Is that a Monday?
That's a Monday, yes. That's the first Monday in
December?
December, yes. We are planning on trying to have a Santa Claus there at the same time. But apparently plan on being here at 11:30 because we don't know when the food is showing up, I guess.
I have 11:30.
Go ahead, make your comment to me. Go ahead. So, just so you know.
Okay.
Okay. It'd probably be nice if, like we did last time, the selectmen serve the meal too. That way the town administrator doesn't have to be there and take abuse.
Does the food come from the same place?
Yes.
That was very good. That was very good
Yes.
food.
Yes.
That was a nice job by Steve.
So.
Food.
Now, due to the lateness of the hour, do we want to go into executive session or postpone it to our next meeting?
We got one more thing to do first.
But I'm just saying, do we want
What do we have to do?
to address the,
It doesn't matter to me, but all I want to bring up before we forget is we do have a correspondence for Veterans Day, which is this weekend.
yep,
And I just wanted to make sure, because we got a letter requesting us to attend,
Yeah.
and I just want to see, I'm willing to go.
I think that's what, 9 AM on Sunday?
8:45 on the
Do you have the
11th.
correspondence?
Sunday.
Yeah, right. I just want to make sure we address that.
I will definitely be there, Jay, to support you and
Yep.
any other veteran.
I will be there as well, and you gentlemen asked me, because I'm the veteran on the staff, to say something.
Yes.
Would you like me to do it again?
Yes, I
Okay,
would.
that's all.
I don't know, I think your comments should be properly vetted by the other board members.
I'll read another poll, how's that?
I think you did a
I'll
nice
find
job
another
last year.
poll.
Nice job.
But I'm just saying, due to the lateness of the hour, do we want to get into this other issue?
Is that correct, 10 o'clock?
Yes.
No, it's not.
It's 9.
It's 9?
Yeah,
They lied.
Okay, I thought it was 10, so 9 o'clock, we can still address it if you want, or
I'm okay with
postpone.
postponing it, but I'd ask the board if there's another day that we can meet next week instead of postponing it for 2 weeks.
That's-
So, the board's up to
The
that.
only day I'm not available is the 14th. I have a personnel board meeting that night.
I'm gonna get in trouble, I gotta light my computer up to see when I'm available.
No, as long as you use battery, as long as you use battery, Jay, as long as you use battery power, it's fine.
Okay.
So we'll have to charge you for using the internet.
Okay, I just wanted to get clarification from the town administrator before I do.
Come on, Clint. Relax.
Believe me, I'm laughing on the inside.
I did address town council regarding what the status was on the review of the planning board. And he said have Lil call him with her concerns. I think it's just the concerns of you haven't heard back from them.
Right, that's it, we just wanted to been in the update,
Okay,
that's all.
okay,
If the answer's no, then the answer's no.
okay. But I did address it with him, so, just so you know.
While Jay's powering up his computer, I know,
And 15 cents a minute.
if we charge you 15 cents a minute, we can make some money.
That's what I'm talking
I
about.
think I'm in the airport, Steve.
It's actually free in the airport, it's a public place. Just in regards to, I know some meetings ago, we talked about having some of our meetings at the fire department. So that has come up and they've asked, you know.
But we're not gonna hold them all there. Do we
No, no,
wanna
but
hold, do we wanna do it a quarterly basis? Do we wanna do it every 4 months?
I think we could do it, I think we should set a date so people know when we're gonna be there.
I was thinking of quarterly.
We can do it quarterly, I just think we should look at some dates saying when we're gonna be there. You know, I know Steve had mentioned at our meeting that we'll know, we'll be back, we'll be here, you know, maybe we do it every record every 3 months we do it.
I don't want to do it every month, I'm going to
No,
tell you.
no, no, no.
Because, be honest with you, the tables that they provided
those-
wasn't
But I think-
conducive to holding this
I
type of
think
a
it's
meeting.
fair enough that we do it once per quarter, but we have a set date so people know what day we're going to be there. I don't think that's fair, We can look at that now, but maybe in the near future, we look at it.
Why don't we address it at our next meeting?
That's what I mean, so we have, like we said, not now,
Might
near
not be a
future.
bad idea is, if you want to do it, say, once a quarter, we hold the Board of Selectmen meeting on night, whether it's a Tuesday or Wednesday, that nobody else in the town is doing anything. So everybody has an opportunity to come here. You know what I'm saying? There's no other board meeting, there's no training, there's no nothing
We're
else
talking
going
the
on.
fire station.
That was tonight,
Yeah, no,
because there isn't training at the fire station on a
you're right.
Thursday
but
night.
you know what I'm
Look how many
trying to
people
say?
showed up, Jay, that aren't doing anything.
We got about 3.
We said we'd go down there, I think
Yeah.
we just hold.
No, we-
I have no problem going there. But I'm just saying, in the future, if we want to hold an off night, because people say they can't come to the meeting because they have commitments on the same night, then I think it would be nice once in a while to hold an off day. That's all I'm saying.
Do we want to do a road show at various sites?
Well, see, that's going to come up. If we do the fire department, they're going to say, when you go on the highway, when you go on the live.
I'm just asking the question.
You want to take this act on the road?
That's what I'm just curious. I'm asking the question.
I don't.
Because what we'll do, we'll get folding tables that we can load into the back of my van, and I can take them with me, and
In the middle of a snowstorm, I think the highway department would be perfect.
I think.
Hey,
Obviously, we go, I mean, the only reason I mentioned the fire department, because that's something we've said.
No, I
There was
said
some-
that,
There
and
were
I'm
some
aware of that.
concerns with some of the things at the fire department, and as a board, we met there, we said we'd be coming back. I think we.
I agree, and I want
but you didn't say when. You didn't say
No,
when.
no, hold on. I tend to agree, I want
No,
to.
no, I'm more talking about taking this act on the road. If other people have requests us to go to, have meetings at certain places, I guess we could definitely look at that.
School committee expects us to meet up there with them.
Well, we could. Well, they didn't come see us when they're supposed to, so.
Well, you're,
I get upset when people say they're coming over and don't show up.
okay.
So we're going to delay the executive session to another night if Jay can power up his computer and give us his schedule.
It's already powered up. Pick
Okay.
any day you want.
I said, the only day I'm not available is Wednesday, the 14th. I have a personnel board meeting that night.
That's the
already.
14th of December, I take it.
November. We're in November, we're not in December.
Oh, okay.
It just said if we could look at an earlier date as far as, so we don't push this off 2 weeks. So if we can look at a day next.
Monday's a holiday, okay? I'm not available, so you got Tuesday, Thursday, or potentially Friday, even though that would,
Why don't we do it Thanksgiving Day?
no, because you're going to meet as a board before then.
Oh, okay.
Does Tuesdays work for you, or do you have things on Tuesdays? I know there's some
Yeah,
days.
Tuesday, no, Mondays work, Tuesdays I work at night.
Okay. What Wednesdays at night?
I work Wednesdays at night.
Thursdays at night?
No, Thursday's good. I'm here.
You want to try and do it next Thursday?
You tell me, right now, I think that's open for me.
Well, the
That's-
only
that's the
thing, we
15th.
have a scheduled energy committee meeting that night,
Well, we can meet earlier. What time is your meeting?
5:30.
How long does the meeting last?
It depends on how much stuff's on the agenda, and right now, we have to have a report in
Yeah,
by
but
3 to
you're the
7.
chair, so you set the agenda.
Yeah, I know that.
So what's on the agenda?
Well, we have another meeting this Friday on the 10th, and the results of the 10th meeting will determine what's on the 15th, because things are getting crammed together, that we have to meet more than once.
So that's a no?
I'm going to say that's a no. You agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're involved and help me prepare all this stuff.
So
So what
basically,
takes precedent, energy or selectmen?
Oh, boy. Now, put me on the spot. Does the vice chair of the Energy Committee want to take charge on Thursday, the 15th?
I could.
Okay, fine. I'll be here as a selectman, and the vice chair will take the Energy Committee.
Okay, I'm just saying, it's just, and we can try, I don't know, how soon can you get out of work, Glenn, to be here?
I can be here by, 2:30 if need be.
Steve?
Anytime on
So,
Thursdays.
what if we say we meet at 2:30 here?
That's fine. I can be here at 2:30
You go
on
up to my
Thursday, have
office.
supper, then go see them afterwards.
because it's executive session, so
That's
Yeah.
fine.
it's closed, so we can meet in my office at 2:30.
That's fine.
And
I don't
that
have a
way-
problem with that.
You should be available to chair your energy meeting on the 15th
So
at
you're off the
5:30.
hook.
I gotta get your final yearly report done by 3 December.
You want to do it that way then?
That's perfect.
Do it
Yeah,
for
I'm fine with
2:30,
that.
2:30, and then we'll just go from there,
I'm fine with that.
okay? Outside of that, I have nothing else to bring in front of the board.
Just one thing, I know it came up at our last meeting too, was the mentor for the chief, that we're gonna be meeting him. Have we scheduled anything to meet him yet?
No, I gotta get a hold of him. I gotta find, I
Priority.
gotta, no, I gotta find his phone number. I lost his card. It's in the pile on my desk somewhere, so I gotta find it again and
I
get a hold
just
of
wanna
him.
bring a lot of this stuff to closure.
Yep, nope, that's fine.
Well, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I will second Glenn's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.